What's going on, everybody? It's Dylan from the Bottom Line View here with my guests tonight, Mitch and Kevel. And as you can read by the title, we're going to talk about the greatest comeback in sports history. No doubt about it, no discussion. If you want to discuss about it for some reason, you can go on the live chat because we're going to be talking about this a lot here. But the Super Bowl just got off the air a little bit ago, and the New England Patriots, down 28-3 in the third quarter, came back to win it all, 34-28 in the first ever Super Bowl overtime. Guys, we saw a crazy game. So before we get into anything in depth, what did you guys feel at the game? You know, everybody was having their own Super Bowl parties, investing in it. I'm going to go with Kevel first because I know Mitch has got to save himself up. So, Kevel, what did you think about the Super Bowl game as an experience overall?
Well, it was funny to kind of, like, I was watching with a group of friends that were mostly cheering for Falcons. And it was interesting looking on social media on Facebook and Twitter at halftime when it was 21. It was 14-0, wasn't looking good. 21-0 with the touchdown. It looked worse. Right. But people were starting to, hey, Adam. People were starting to post their Tom Brady, call your mama memes. People were starting to mock Tom Brady. And I just put on Twitter, for those of you mocking Tom Brady, I'm warning you, it's not over. And people were like rolling their eyes. And one of my final tweets is, I told you so. I think that this is just simply, as I said in one of the previews we did, this is the most important game in Patriots franchise history. This is the statement. It's over. The discussion is now over. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Bill Belichick is the greatest quarterback or coach of all time, and they proved it tonight. And when you're down 28-3, the reason you were able to come back is because you have a guy like Tom Brady who is able to come back. There's a lot of other things that we're going to get in depth here. But the fact of the matter is you credit everybody else. Credit Edelman, credit Hogan, credit Amendola, credit James White, credit the defense at the end, credit the coaching adjustments, credit all of it. This doesn't get done. The confidence that Tom Brady gives you, period. It's over. He is the greatest quarterback of all time, period.
And honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, if you honestly don't think that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, you can yeet the fuck off the channel because you're fucking wrong. Because I'm on the channel. I'm gotta be LeGarrette Blunt right now. All right. Honestly, if you think Tom Brady isn't the greatest quarterback of all time after what we just witnessed and all the stats and all the stuff we're about to get into, you can't. You either haven't been watching football. You're like watching, I don't know, underwater basket weaving. You're the most mentally stupid person on the planet because you always hate Tom Brady, or you're just an idiot. I'm just pointing that out there. So I agree with Kevel on that. That was so great of a performance by Tom Brady, the comeback and everything. It doesn't get done without him. 62 passes tonight, 62. So we're going to get into Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Can I just tell you this ESPN stats? Okay. Fourth quarter, last two Super Bowls. Tom Brady, 29 for 36, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns.
That's outstanding. And the fourth quarter tonight was
Yeah.
We have a new guest. He joined in about 2 minutes late.
Thanks, boys.
Sorry, we had to start. Viewer.
No, 100%. I was just coming back from a Super Bowl party. I know you guys talked to. I just want to congratulate Mitch, being the fan of the greatest. I'm going to say it.
Let's go!
I'm going to say it, Mitch. The best dynasty in the history of sports, bar none. It took me a while to be able to say that because I love those teams in the 2000s, and Dylan's laughing because he knows what I've been saying, and it's not against the Patriots. It's just how good I thought this Falcons team was.
Yep.
And that first half, I definitely was just like, wow, what I said actually was true. Like everything's working out. The pressure that Atlanta was getting against Tom Brady. Tom Brady's never been hit that much. Everything, like odds, and I'm not like a math guy, but I'm an odds guy, and like everything was just like watching a lot of football in my time. Everything was pointing after that first half was pointing. Mitch, I don't even know what you were feeling like, Mitch, but
Bro.
it must have been nuts because that, oh man, after that first half, I'm like, because I put some money on the game too. For all you bettors out there, you probably know how I'm feeling if you put money on Atlanta. I put money on Atlanta, and I can't believe the feeling I was feeling after half. I was like, holy crap. Everything I said about the Falcons were true, and it blew up in my face, and I can't believe I'm even on air now. All the stuff I thought was going to happen, but
no disrespect to anyone talking about. Why can't I talk right now?
Yeah, hey, reel it back in. Reel it back in. Reel it back in. All right, let Adam discuss.
Okay, so this win probably still hasn't hit me yet because I don't even know what I just witnessed, man. Like, usually, like, these wins like this take me a while to, like, even the last Super Bowl took me a while. Like, oh, my God, my team won a Super Bowl. We won the Super Bowl, and it was in dramatic fashion. The first half, I can say this, Atlanta, first off, Atlanta Falcons fans, you guys played awesome. You definitely deserve to be in that game. You proved the doubters wrong. You played a great game. But at the end of the day, you played Tom Brady. You played a team coached by Bill Belichick, and that was the difference. It was an epic game. Might be the greatest Super Bowl of all time. I mean, it was one of the greatest games in any sport I've ever seen. The comeback was incredible. Patriots fans out there, shout out to you guys. Enjoy the win. It's a big win. 5-time Super Bowl champions. No quarterback, no coach has ever done that before. So, celebrate that. And it's just an incredible win. Tom Brady was excellent. We'll talk about all the players individually. But, let's go to what Adam said. Let's go to what Kev said. When we were down 7-0, cool. 14-0, cool. 21-0. Then it was 21-3. I'm like, okay, a little bit of a chance here. We have Tom Brady. I never gave up. We have Tom Brady. And I really looked at the game and I was like, it's a pick six. It's a fumble. There was 2 scores off turnovers. We were still in the game. We were playing a decent game. We turned over the ball a couple times. Thought we could come back, especially with Tom Brady. I didn't like the pressure they were getting on us. I did think we'll get into this, but I thought that as the offense continued to stay on the field for the Patriots, they continued to wear down that pass rush, which really helped the Patriots offense going forward. But some of the plays in this game, just epic moments in NFL history, never mind New England Patriots history. And just an incredible, incredible game. I can't say that enough. Amazing to watch. The emotions I felt during this game, up and down. During the first half, I was like, okay, it's just the first half. See what happens in the second half. Once it hit 20-3, I'm like, it's not really looking good right now. And then we scored a touchdown. I'm like, okay. We scored a touchdown, and he missed the extra point. I'm like, maybe it's not meant to be. We do the onside kick. It hits the guy in the calf. I mean, it just looked like it wasn't meant to be at one point. But you continue to believe in the greatness of Tom Brady. You continue to believe in the team. I knew they were the better team coming in, and I don't want to take any credit away from Atlanta, but I think this was just a great team that was destined to win the Super Bowl. And ultimately, they made a few more plays at the end, played probably the greatest second half in Super Bowl history, and pulled out the win. We'll get into the game more, and I'll continue to celebrate, but those are my initial thoughts on the game.
Hey, and as you should, Mitch, as you should, bud. Cheers to you. No, actually, that's the way to be able to witness that game. Anyone who watched that game just as a football fan, at the end of the day, yeah, I was a Falcons guy. Like, obviously, I'm an Eagles guy. I got my Randall Cunningham jersey. Number 12, legend. Though, I don't know.
Legend.
Yeah, legend. But watching that game, man, like any football player, any football person that watched that game, you go away being like, wow, like things can happen in a football game, and that's how you want to watch football. And it was just amazing. As we talked about on this program before, this was going to be an epic Super Bowl. No one thought the way it was going to play out. Not one person said the way it was going to play out.
I was saying that, Adam. I was saying that to Dylan. I was like, okay, if the Patriots would have won 34-28, okay, that sounds about right? Sounds about right. Yeah. I thought the Patriots would score 34 points. I was back and forth with 34-24, 34-27. So I was very close on the final score. But to come back 25 points and then win in overtime too, that's an incredible game. Nobody really thought that would happen.
No. And It's absolutely crazy. And, for somebody like myself, Adam, Kevel, our teams didn't make the Super Bowl. I'm just very sorry. Very sad. But, we were invested in this game as football fans because we want to watch good football. And we saw two pretty lame NFC and AFC championship games coming in. So we hadn't seen a lot of good football since the divisional round. And if you want an exciting game or at least an exciting second half and overtime, I think you got it. I don't know. I just have a feeling you did. We also did see the first ever Super Bowl overtime, which has never happened before. There's been 50 games before, 3 seasons worth of games, and not one of them went to overtime. So that was a cool experience. And we saw one of the greatest comebacks of all time. So I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to start off with what I think, we're going to go through the game.
Dylan, I want to give 2 more statistics out there, historical statistics. This is the first team to have a pick six in a Super Bowl and lose. This is also the largest comeback in Super Bowl history by 15 points. The next best comeback was 3 times at 10 points, including the Patriots comeback last time in the Super Bowl. So Brady has not the first, but the second biggest comeback in Super Bowl history, and this one is just, I don't know if it will ever be passed. I mean, records are meant to be broken, but that's pretty incredible.
It's like Joe DiMaggio's 57-game hit streak. There's so many records, so they'll never be beaten. This one, I don't think.
Here's one other one. If we're going to toss the stats here, 4 of 5 Patriots Brady's Super Bowls comebacks.
That's right. That's right. There's so many things to talk about here. Let's go into the first quarter. So coming into the first quarter, we had a pretty slow start. We actually saw a defensive game, which is something that we weren't expecting from the Atlanta Falcons. They made key plays and key stops. The first 3 drives for the New England Patriots were 2 punts and a fumble, which was a nice recovery by Deion Jones, or forcing the fumble. So early on, you're like, the Falcons can run, they can keep up with the Patriots, because the biggest thing for them was to get off hot. And the Patriots got the ball first, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, they're going to go up 7-0. And that's not good for the Falcons because they deferred it. So I was very confused by that. But they did have some kind of defensive game.
Dylan, hold up. That coin toss was confusing because they had did they defer, or did they get the coin toss and let the Patriots pick? Because it sounded like the Patriots
Falcons deferred. The Falcons deferred.
Oh, did they defer? Oh, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. I apologize. But
the Patriots received. They're like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, but I thought that was confusing on the Falcons' part, because I was like, wouldn't you want to get off to a hot start against a team like the Patriots, who are, if they're going to get the ball first, I would think they were going to score. So.
And quickly, I want to say this because I know we're going to get on how great Brady is, how great Belichick is, and how great some of the offensive players were, James White, Julian Edelman. But hey, if you didn't think the Patriots defense was legit all year long, they held the best offense, the 7th greatest offense in terms of points of all time, to 21 points. They came up with key sacks, key plays, and the Falcons had some incredible catches by Julio Jones and some incredible plays. The Falcons had some chunk plays, but the Patriots made some huge plays at the end of the day. They held that offense out of the end zone for an entire half, basically, and just dominated that second half. If you weren't a believer in the Patriots defense, I'm just going to say I told you so.
Yeah.
Well, it was an interesting choice giving it, because I think that one of the things that they were wanting to establish is the Falcons came out hitting. They were physical at the start of this game, specifically on the defense, and they came out hitting, which is I think what they wanted to establish, because they knew that their offense could score, and I think that they were trying to make sure that they were trying to get into Brady's mind.
Well,
so it wasn't a terrible decision to defer, because they ended up getting the ball first in the second half, which the Patriots usually do score first, score at the end, score at first. So they took that away. So that wasn't a terrible decision.
It wasn't, and also the fact that they were up 21-3 and then scored on that drive to make it 28-3.
Yeah,
pretty nice for themselves. So
and Dylan makes a good point in the sense where it was almost like 2 halves, right? Like
it's a tale of 2 halves.
Yeah, like the first half, how could you really go and be like, Atlanta should have done this differently? No. Like, I think this game kind of starts in the second half where you have a good team that's used to actually playing for lead. And I don't know if not to get into this too much, but the whole season, Atlanta was a team that would be up big at the half and then let up and have the team come back, but usually they come out with a W. But this is the Super Bowl. This is Tom Brady. This is Belichick. And it came back and bit them in the ass. And that defense sat back. And you could even – I'll give adjustments to
yes, I wanted to bring that up.
I'll give adjustments to McDaniels and that offense and Brady because he found ways, and maybe even if Atlanta was trying to play back and just, okay, we got this lead, let's not give up big plays, let's let them eat the clock, whatever. We're up 18, it's a Super Bowl, no one's come back. All these things are going through their head, and McDaniels knew that their defense was just still going to rush 4 and play some sort of zone defense, maybe a little man-to-man, and all of a sudden New England just picks it apart and comes back for the win there.
Mm-hmm. Well, Adam, they often played, especially in the first half, they played a lot of cover one robber. They had the one safety deep because they usually play cover 3. So they switched to the man variation, basically. They had the guy in the middle kind of doubling Edelman. And it seemed like in the first half, nobody would get open except for Edelman and make some plays. And it seemed like rather the Patriots were really slow off the jump on offense, like getting off routes and beating guys, or Atlanta was really playing well. I think it was a combination of both on that side of the ball. But I want to give credit not only to McDaniels, Brady for their adjustments, but the defense. The defense in the first half, they were letting that stretch run, which I was worried about coming into the game, get after him because Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan, that Shanahan run zone play outside has always hurt the Patriots. But in the second half, the Patriots adjusted. They played physical on the edges, and they were getting some big, like 4-yard, 5-yard, 3-yard losses. Freeman couldn't run, and that was a big, big deal why the Patriots were able to come back because they were stopping the run, which was huge.
Well, let's not forget that Tevin Coleman got hurt in this game too, which was also one of the turning points.
Oh, there's like 7 turning points.
No. 7.
And
because
too.
Yeah, because they couldn't run in the second half at all, and they usually used a 2-man monster, but it became a 1-man monster. And yeah, they pretty much, the Falcons kind of abandoned the run game in the fourth quarter, which was an interesting decision, and they went to the pass.
It was weird because like the first quarter, I saw a lot of good runs from Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman. They were using them quite a bit, and even though Matt Ryan was pretty good, he only threw, I believe it was 13 passes in the first half. I don't. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments.
He was like 13 for 15 or 12.
Yeah, but he was 11 for 13 at one point. Yeah,
11 for 13. Okay. He did not throw very much in that first half, so I was thinking they were going to use what was effective, and that was the run game, and they didn't. By the way,
yeah, that's the key difference. They were running those tosses, those stretches for big gains, and then in the second half they weren't. I think we should get to the comments, Dylan.
Yes. Let me bring up some of these comments here. I want to bring up one more thing before we do. Sports is amazing, if anybody wants to know. In the last year,
sports is awesome.
NCAA championship buzzer beater to win the title for basketball. 108 years drought in the World Series has ended. First NBA team to win the race to 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals. 1 second to go in the college championship game earlier on, and the first Super Bowl to win overtime this year. That's all in 1 year, by the way, so it's pretty interesting. Okay, let's go to some of these comments here. Of course, we have a bunch of people talking about this. We got Bathing Ash. I hope that's how you say it correctly. He said, how do they keep pulling off these wins with these deficits? Absolutely amazing. Was rooting for the Falcons, but I can't deny the Patriots what they've just done. It's amazing to see how they came back. It did not look good for them in the first half, so you got to give them credit for them. Some people were talking about how it's boring, the fact that the same team and the Patriots get in every year.
See, I don't understand this. I guess I'm a Patriots fan, but even in like a different sport, say LeBron kept winning the NBA championship. I'm a person that I appreciate greatness. I don't try and take that away from anybody. Even if it's not my team, I can appreciate the team that is winning and dominating because it's so hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, you see the dynasties like the Spurs and the Lakers and all this stuff, and Lakers, but a little bit before. But you see all these good teams. If they're good enough to do it, appreciate how good they are because they're obviously making a lot of plays to get it done. So I don't know. Space Cowboy 17 said, I had a gut feeling that after Brady got the suspension, it was only a matter of time before they would win the Super Bowl. Of course, because, all
And
the
wasn't
stuff
that-
going through the season.
Wasn't that the most underwhelming thing of all time? Like Goodell, like in the background when the cameras aren't on him, gives it just to the owner. I thought that was, you know what I mean? Like
At least he got
Goodell
booed.
was out of there.
At least he got booed like Roman Reigns when he had the trophy, though. That was amazing.
Yeah, true. No, that's the thing. It's actually, you wrestling guys will like this. I saw one where it had Sting coming down. I don't know. Well, obviously, we'll get into.
Was it the Lady Gaga thing?
Lady Gaga coming down. Yeah, there was a couple great Lady Gaga gifts especially for Atlanta people that were cheering for the Falcons. I was cheering for the Falcons, and I saw a tweet having Lady Gaga jump and then just like out of the scene, right? Like jumping off a bridge or something. And that was totally. I had a tweet with the Homer Simpson going into the grass because my tweets were so pro Atlanta in this game that I got mud on my face. Like
hey Adam.
It's the worst feeling, man.
I'm just kidding.
But getting back, Mitch, to your point, I want to tie this all around. Is getting back to your point, like people. I respect Tom Brady and the Patriots. I always have. Like I said before, I cheered for them in every single Super they were in, except for when they played the Eagles, and except for this one. I respect them. Like I said before, even before this game, Bill Belichick is the best coach. Tom Brady's the best quarterback. And now that they won this, I'll put them as the best dynasty of all time. Now.
All right.
No. I want to bring up a tweet that Dylan already said, but the Atlanta Falcons, if you guys didn't know this, they peaked with a 99.6 probability to win this game.
99.6. That's absolutely crazy. There's a chart. It literally hits the bottom line at the 100. Like it's ridiculous. We got two comments from Anime Fan 92. One about the probability, and also saying that the 60 Celtics were better. I don't really know.
I can't really say because I wasn't there to witness it, but also
we weren't there to witness it. Yeah.
I don't think they had to go through the changes that the Patriots did. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I do want to say that I do want to call out my boy Winter here. He said, "I don't like the I don't hate the Pats. I hate their fans." Does that mean you hate me, bro? Does that mean you hate
never?
No, okay, stop the hating.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree.
Disagree to agree.
No, that's why I'm actually awesome that the season is over because now I can talk to Mitch as like without having a little angst against him for being a Patriots fan. Now we can just be like, okay, you guys won, whatever. Let's just talk ball, bro.
Oh,
like,
Alex says, wait.
I'm tired of going against Mitch against the Patriots. They're the greatest. I screwed up.
No more. All right.
Okay, he says it's mostly directed at Bill Simmons. You're good. Thanks, bro. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for putting up with my Pats fanism. Also, I want to point out Alex's comment that says, "Wait, an Eagles fan? That isn't a super salty douche?" ?
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, I was gonna say that. That's kind of funny.
Well, I'm from Canada too, so like I'm super salty, but not a douche.
Yeah, he doesn't throw snowballs at Santa.
Yeah, I love Santa, dude. That's where you get all the presents, right?
We got a comment from Coach. He says, "Goat. End of debate. Shanahan is overrated." Ooh, that's interesting. I wouldn't.
I think we do need to talk about Atlanta here because they made some major mistakes.
They did.
Was it mistakes or was it the Patriots defense?
No.
They made some strategic errors.
They made a lot of mistakes. And
see, look at Adam. He knows the answer, bro. He's going back on it. Look at this. No, because this is what I got to respond to that. Did they make mistakes?
Yes.
Or was it the fact that they have been playing this way every single game and they have been able to pass at will against every single team, but they met a team at some point in time that stopped them? They had 2 sacks in a row. When they needed it, they got it. Big holding call, too. That was huge. They couldn't even run the ball. Even when you say run the ball, they couldn't run the ball. I think that's part of the reason. Atlanta all season long, if you've watched them, they've been foot on the gas pedal every single game. They want to run the score up. And maybe you say that's you need to change at some point. But if you saw how the team played every game, they did it against the Packers. They did it against the Seahawks. That's how they've been playing every single game. And that's not just me saying being a Patriots fan. I really believe that you do what got you in this situation.
Yeah.
Well, but if you see that your team is not working in the second half, they're not figuring out what they're doing for the first half. You got to change it up at some point.
Well, here are some errors. The back-to-back drive, I think they took a timeout there.
Mhm.
They weren't able to run the ball. That was one error. They took a timeout earlier in the half that they didn't need to, and they shouldn't have challenged the Edelman catch.
Yes, that was
a terrible thing because they had one timeout left. It was a clear catch. It shouldn't have been challenged. And when the Patriots tied it at 52 seconds to go, I don't understand that strategy because they were going right up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to go to the sidelines.
Yeah,
because the Patriots were taking it away. I think we're discount. I know I'm the Patriots homer here.
But I'm not discounting the Patriots at this point in time.
But if you're going to throw a ball in the middle of the field, obviously that's not for the Patriots.
Because
I just think that the Falcons made some errors, and I also think that the
it's
way that
inexperience as well, as we talked about on the preview. Inexperience,
and that's part of it. That's part of it too. But I think that the Falcons made a lot of strategic errors in this game, and I specifically in the time management category that I think cost them this game as much as anything else. Like I'm not taking this is not to take anything away from the Patriots at all because it was magnificent, but I mean, a lot of the drives, there are only 2 drives that went over 4 minutes where they're 2 touchdown drives. They couldn't control the ball
because it was weird, Kev. Because all their yards were big chunk plays.
Yes,
they weren't consistent 5-10 yards. They were like 30 yards, 1-2 like punt or something, or like 30, 20, 10, 12 touchdown. It wasn't like 5, 4, 6, 7 like the Patriots. It was like 30 yards. It was weird.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it's just, and I think I understood the you had to get that one more score to get them out of range, but I think that there was a number of different ways that you could have tried to have done that, and I think that they didn't use the run enough, and they weren't. I think they could have been a little bit more conservative at times when they were being aggressive. And I think that that's in part that style cost them. And I'm going to go back to a game in the regular season that a lot of people forget because this almost happened. They almost
against the Seahawks?
No, against the Saints. At the end of the year, they were up 35-0.
I lost money on that game.
And they almost lost that game. It was 35-32. The Saints almost came back on them in the game. So there is something about their approach that I think does have to be at some point here counted into this conversation, which doesn't take anything away from what the Patriots did, Mitch, but it is a factor why this game happened.
I think I'm just going to go back on what I said. I think it's what they've been doing all year. They've been aggressive, and that's how they finish teams off. I think that at a certain point they said, okay, we're not running the ball effectively. We're going to go 3 and out every time if we run 3 times in a row because we're going backwards. And I think Kyle Shanahan at one point was like, let's put it in our MVP's hands. Let's let him throw the ball, let him get the first downs. And ultimately the Patriots made the stops. I really think it was more about the Patriots than it was about the miscues of the Falcons. I want to get to a couple comments, and then we'll head back to Dylan. You can steer it a different direction. I think heart and persistence are the keys for the Patriots. You can't measure heart. You can't measure persistence, bro. It's tough. Tom Brady, Amendola, White, Edelman, those guys all have it. That's why they're champions. Mr. Winter says, no is the convenient penalties when the Falcons were about to get a field goal. It wasn't a convenient penalty. The holding call was clearly a holding call. It was the same call that the Steelers got.
No, on the goal line. But I'm saying when those one time, I think he might be referring to those one times when they got the field goal. There was 3 holding plays in a row. That's probably what he's going towards more.
Those were all holding, though. You could tell.
Yeah,
no, for sure.
It was all on third down. That drive was not going well at all.
If you're going to call the one that Butler had, which was ticky-tacky, you're going to call those.
No, the third one, though, was the least. I'll go with that, though. The third one was like the least amount of holding. But, no, We'll get into what I think was like the main factor of the win later, but I still think he's got a point with those holdings, maybe.
Space Cowboy 17. I think the Falcons' run and gun offense killed them. I agree. Alex says, was Edelman's catch better than David Tyree's?
Yes.
Do we want to discuss that?
Yes, 100%. Yes. The way, maybe not
later.
Not as historic, but I think it was a pound for pound better catch.
Skill wise.
I think it is bigger. I mean, I think it is pretty big. Let's be honest here. It's right before 2-minute warning. They don't make that play. They're in their momentum gets shut down a little bit. And
I'm just interested to see if it's replayed the same amount, because you have to factor in the amount, the thing that it was the perfect season on the line and they had the catch. I understand this is 5th Super Bowl thing. I think they're pretty equal
too. So
they're both top 3 all-time Super Bowl catches, but I think it's pretty close. I think that the Edelman catch is better from a physical standpoint, but from a historic standpoint, I'm not sure. We'll have time to tell.
But I mean, the only thing with the Tyree thing is you got Eli Manning getting out of there too. So that's the quarterback receiver combination of that, where Brady is just standing there and throwing it, which I think.
And also there was 3, but there was also 3 defenders on Edelman.
Yeah. I mean, so in terms of full play, maybe that one catch Edelman.
Like right here.
I'm gonna throw Jermaine Kearse's catch though in 49.
That was a fucking great catch.
That was everybody was comparing it to Tyree. I'm like, that was closer to the Kearse catch. Like that was really Kearse-like.
The only problem with Kearse's catch is they didn't win. That's the only reason.
Exactly.
Like Malcolm Butler's.
What I'll say about the Edelman catch is you have 1 versus 3. That's not Tyree. Tyree was 1-on-1, made a great football play. I think there was a football play aspect to that catch, but a lot of it was luck. Like the guy's foot had to be just there. It had to bounce off the guy's foot instead of the ground. If that guy moves his foot an inch, it's on the ground, incomplete pass. A lot had to happen for Edelman to make that catch. Still,
and had to hold on to the ball.
Hold on.
100%.
He double caught it. He double caught it too.
Because it felt, By the way, I'm calling sports science out. We want to know the answer. What's the better catch? Space Cowboy 17. I want to bring this up as our last longer question, and then we're gonna get into stats because we have not talked a single second about stats.
Bro, we could go on for 3 hours. I want to stay on here for 4 hours, bro.
All right. Well, I got a time to sleep. Okay. Just a quick question. What was the biggest choke job? Warriors, Indians, or Falcons?
I will say this. I don't think the Falcons choke that bad because what did they do that was a choke? They had the one fumble, but even then, that was a nice play by Hightower. What else? They didn't choke.
They didn't choke. They choked maybe by a couple plays here and there, but Tom Brady still needs to put up, what was it, 34 unanswered? He still needs to put up those points, right?
I'll
say Golden State.
The answer to the question.
I think the bigger choke is because they lost 3 games in a you lose different games. The Falcons lost 1 game.
The answer to the question is the Warriors. I'm just going to say that right there because you had the fucking lead. I don't know what LeBron, Kyrie, whatever. That's the biggest choke job of all time. So let's get into the answer.
And that Edelman catch, I want the one thing that if people 2 things. Brady wouldn't throw that again. I don't think he would make that throw again, and that should have been picked.
Yes, because we forgot to tell this. The defender had it clearly in his hands, and it bounced off. So it was a tip ball, and everybody's running around to try to catch it. And it ended up being in the hands of Edelman.
And I don't want to take a shot at one of the greatest Patriots of all time, but I kind of have to. Again, this proves the difference between Wes Welker and Julian Edelman.
True.
Just saying.
Welker didn't have hands, right? He had hands, but he would never have made that catch.
No, I think it's the grit and the toughness and the clutch. I think that was the difference. Welker is probably a better receiver, but Edelman is just a bigger time playmaker in bigger games.
Well, let's talk about this because he wasn't great tonight other than that one catch. There were some things that he did great, but he also did some very inconsistent things we're going to get into. So let's get into the stats of the game. It's been about an hour since we started. Matt Ryan today was 17 of 23 for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked pretty efficient. His passer rating was 144.1. So you really can't put the loss on this guy in any situation. Of course, we brought up the one fumble that he had in the fourth quarter. That was key on third down. They were getting a lot of pressure on him. So I find that was kind of interesting. But he did play a good game. And we said earlier he only threw 13 passes in the first half, which means he only threw 10 in the second half. We kind of forget that. But in the Super Bowl, that's almost unheard of. And they were able to score early. They were able to make good drives. And I think Matt Ryan played one of the better games that he could have possibly had. Like I mean, the Patriots defense did play good at times, but in that first half, he was able to score and drive and make bigger plays for the team, and they were able to finish it off. And then the second half, it just wasn't able to work. So I think Matt Ryan did a good job for the most part. Wasn't able to finish, but I guess that was the whole team by itself. What do you guys think of Matt Ryan's performance tonight?
Kev, go first.
Your stats are great. It's hard to complain about Matt Ryan when you look at this in face value. But I think that one of the stories that came into this game that was a big story was Alex Mack. Alex Mack with his broken fibula that came out, and I think that affected in the second half. The offensive line wasn't as effective. They couldn't run the ball. And I think he went deep too much. Yes, he made that great catch to Julio Jones. Made that great catch.
Okay, that was really gutsy. I'll give him credit for throwing it.
It was gutsy because
it was super lucky at the same time. Like Rowe's hands were right there.
It was kind of like an Aaron Rodgers throw.
It was like here,
right on the needle to catch that ball.
It was like, okay, this is Julio's hands. This is Rowe's hand. Like, it was literally that close.
Eric Rowe becomes a big player in this game.
Eric Rowe played well in this game. We'll get to Mr. Adam in a little bit.
I thought it was an interesting throw. To me, I saw it most as like an Aaron Rodgers. I'm throwing the needle right in there. You better catch it. And that's
great throw.
It's also the fact that Julio Jones is the best receiver in the game. So you gave him the ball, and that's something I wanted them to do in the second half for him, was to throw it to him, and they did. Let's get into what's probably going to be considered the greatest quarterback performance in Super Bowl history. Tom Brady, stat-wise, 43 of 62, 466 yards. Both of those are, by the way, Super Bowl records, all three of them. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, became a pick six. In the first half, what I saw from Tom Brady, Thomas Edison Brady, the Jr.
Edward, get it right.
I am sorry, Edison. It sounds right, okay? Edward.
Edison's better.
Person.
Edison created the light bulb. Tom Brady made it stay light, okay? So Tom Brady, in this game, the first half, I thought he was inconsistent. I thought when he was throwing balls, they were either behind or overthrown. And don't get me wrong, his receivers were not helping him out at all. They were dropping balls. Hogan made a drop that was right near the 5-yard line that I thought, God damn it, you need to make the catch. There was another couple plays by Edelman. I was like, Brady's not looking great, but his receivers are not helping him out at all. Second half, Brady, I think he changed the channel. He went from Fox News to NBC. He was ready. He was ready to make a play and make this a game. And saw it was 28-3. Realized I got to come up in the clutch situation, and we've seen him in the first quarter. Actually, in all 7 of his Super Bowl, or 6 of the last 7. Sorry, actually, I think it was all of them. He's never scored a first quarter point.
No, they never scored a first quarter point in the first quarter,
which is interesting.
To all Super Bowls.
I find that weird, but yeah, he's never scored a first quarter point. So he likes to be slow. But we talked about this before. He's the greatest fourth quarter man in Super Bowl history. We saw it last time with the Seahawks. Sorry, Kevel. He did an absolutely fantastic job against them, leading to their win. And then tonight, Kevel, do you have the stats for the fourth quarter?
I have them for the last 2. I'll see if I can pull up here.
Yeah, just quickly on Brady, that was an unbelievable comeback. In the first half, the pressure they were getting on Tom Brady was something he's obviously seen before, but he's seen before in games that he loses. Not that it's been a lot, but normally when you get that pressure, I think he was hit 11 times, 7 hurries.
Mm-hmm.
2.5
Two
sacks.
sacks 5
This
times.
is the first half. I think this game. Obviously, I always want to get back to is a tale of two halves because there's nothing right you can say that New England did in the first half, but there's nothing wrong really you can say they did in the second half because they dominated that much, and that was obviously at the end of the game. The thing about Atlanta, I'm going to say, is the whole season long, they would put up 30 points in the first half on teams, and then they'd get complacent in the second half, and that's why that 27th scoring defense wasn't as good as you would think of that defense, how they played, right? So when I see the Patriots come into that game, I think they tired them out, and I think Atlanta played just too complacent. They just couldn't get pressure with 4.
Well, they played the same. I think they tried to switch it up at the end of the half and into the third quarter and play more zone. Yeah. But then when it got in the fourth quarter, they went back to what they were doing, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, it was weird because they were putting a lot of pressure early on, and I was liking that. That's what got Brady a little bit unfocused, a little on edge, and they were doing stuff right. And then all of a sudden, things changed, and different things went into the Patriots, and they changed it up. So.
I thought Jarrett was going to win MVP.
Jarrett,
half and a quarter.
Okay, I don't know if anybody watching this video watched my keys to the game on the channel. What was it? I don't know. Whatever the video was, preview, whatever.
5 X factors.
5 X factors.
Good job, man.
Jarrett was on there.
Company man.
Stacks. I thought
I also pointed out Jarrett too.
Yes, he did. He did. I was surprised Kevin even knew who he was. I was very.
Hey,
shocked.
stop it! I actually.
Man, you're making him look incompetent, man.
No, he does, but I didn't think he would know a fat guy named Jarrett. I'm just saying. But let's go back to some key Tom Brady, Matt Ryan. Okay, Tom Brady. I want to argue a little bit towards what he was doing in the first half. I didn't think it was really Tom Brady playing bad. I think it was the fact that their offensive line wasn't very good in the first half. They were getting a lot of pressure, but I think it was more that their receivers weren't getting open. I think some of their coverages kind of threw them off. I think, like I said at the beginning, their receivers weren't beating the man coverage consistently. They did miss Gronk, Kev. They won the game, but they did miss Gronk. If you play man coverage against Gronk, game over. But I think that in early on, the front 4 pressure combined with the press man where the receivers weren't getting open worked really well for Atlanta. And a lot of throws, Brady, he wasn't exactly inaccurate. It was just guys weren't open, so he'd just throw it like near them, but not to get intercepted. There were some throws where Aikman's like, oh, bad throw by Brady. I'm like, Edelman's not open. Brady just throws it at the ground because he's not open. That's not him.
I'm going to disagree.
Yeah.
There were a couple crossing routes where he missed and deep throws, but one crossing route, Edelman bumped into a guy and then he missed it. And then a deep throw was like 1 inch away. Like it was kind of more unlucky than anything.
I'm not saying that the Patriots receivers did great because they weren't helping him out in the first half. However, there was some throws that were behind Edelman.
Yes, there were.
There were a couple here and there because that was due to the pressure. Once every quarterback's gonna throw a bad ball when there's pressure in their face.
No, but I was saying this in the first half. That's what it was looking like for me. I was seeing more of, okay, he's making a couple of plays, he's throwing the darts, but there's sometimes in key situations where it was a third down and these balls are not getting thrown to where they should be. Now, credit where credit's due, the receivers were not getting that open sometimes, but I think there was a couple of plays in the first half where I was like, Brady's not looking like he's on fire right now. He's not looking like he.
And that interception was right in Alfred's hands.
Yes,
he timed it perfectly. I want to go off that. I was actually just going to talk about that. He got hit and then he threw it. Obviously, it was a great interception. Bad throw, bad decision more than a bad throw. But the thing is, Mr. Winter here in the comments said Brady can't be the GOAT because he threw a pick 6. Really?
Winter, did you not see the beginning of this video, buddy? If you didn't, stay because you're great. But
bro, really? Come on.
But it's like this is not obviously exactly what I guess Winter said this, but
yes.
All I will say is when that pick six happened, we talked about a lot of game planning, what would happen. We were like, wow, if there could be a big defensive play, and that was it for Atlanta. Or, you know what I mean? If they win this game, you're like, even if it was close at the end, if they win this game, you're like, wow, that pick six was the game. And while it was happening, you were like, wow, this is like you've seen, in New Orleans when Tracy Porter picked off Peyton.
Well, that was at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, third quarter, I think, though.
It was fourth quarter with 2 minutes left, I think.
No, it was a little bit more. It was like 4 or 5 minutes
Yeah,
left.
and the Colts had they were driving for the game-tying score. Yeah.
What I'm saying, we've seen a lot of defensive plays, and as big as that defensive play was, we've seen that more so on the winning side than the losing side. And that's why, just like looking at history and looking at how games have been played in the Super Bowl in the past, that's what still baffles me. I give all credit to the Patriots. It still baffles me to think that the
Adam, I didn't
Atlanta
expect
Falcons
anything
lost that
less,
game.
bro. I didn't expect anything less, bro.
And
I said before you came on, this guy's going to come on and say why the Falcons lost and not why the Patriots won.
Wait,
I feel like a lot of people are going to say that.
This is at
Completely
5:56. This is at 5:56.
More probable than not. Okay, give your alternative facts here. I find it interesting that the way that this went. There's so many things to discuss.
I didn't even get to discuss Matt Ryan. Can I discuss Matt Ryan?
I thought you did, but okay, go ahead.
Okay, Matt Ryan. You said 17 for 23, 284, 2 touchdowns. I'm looking at the stats. I didn't memorize it.
I was saying you're fucking great if you did. But.
Matt Ryan. Okay, so I thought Matt Ryan played okay. I think people were overreacting to how he played in the first half. He was making a lot of easy throws. I didn't think he was excellent or anything. They had a couple chunk plays, 30-yard runs by Freeman, guys making people miss, stuff like that. I didn't think Matt Ryan played special at all. I don't think he looked like the MVP. I thought Matt Ryan had a great year. I don't think he showed up really excellent. He wasn't excellent in this game. The Patriots defense was the best defense they played all year. Yes, they were. And they played well against Matt Ryan. You knew that Ryan was going to get stats. I mean, you knew that was going to happen. He made a couple really nice throws to Julio and stuff like that. But I thought that he didn't make clutch throws when they needed it. So
yeah,
in the end, I think Matt Ryan failed. I know it's a harsh term, but I think he failed at the end of the day.
I think it was play calling. I think it was a lot to be complacent. They didn't do what they were doing. They weren't testing those corners because they didn't have to, because they were playing with the lead, and they thought if they could just eat their way, little West Coast short passes, not test too many times deep. And I think that caught up with them because they weren't converting. They were giving the ball back right away. And I think if they played the way, obviously it's easy to say, if they played how they did in the first half, they would have won the Super Bowl. Obviously they would have, but they didn't. They weren't testing as much. And I think a guy like Julio Jones, that catch he made on a big, I think it was third down when he made that big catch. It's like Julio Jones, I don't think Ryan gave him enough credit. Like, even if he is double covered, he's a guy that can make the catch. In a situation, a Super Bowl, you got to give your best players the best opportunities to make a play. And there weren't a lot of times where I saw that. And obviously, maybe he's double covered.
Well,
whatnot. I still think you got to give Jones a chance, and especially third, fourth.
He did, though. He did.
On that big one. He threw
to him 4 times. He gave him one really good opportunity. That's about it.
Because he wasn't open.
No, I know, but at the end of the day, you have to give your big playmakers, because he's proven in coverage that he can make the catches.
So if another guy's open, we're just going to pass to the guy that's not open.
No, but sometimes there was no one else open that he just threw an incomplete pass out of bounds and whatnot. When you
maybe he didn't want to throw an interception.
I think to me, Ryan wasn't spectacular. Like, I mean, his numbers were great. But I think when I'm thinking about Matt Ryan right now, I'm thinking about 3rd and 33. Yeah. And I think that's how he handled that. Yeah, I think the offensive line had a big factor in this game. I think Andy Mack's injury had a huge factor in this game. And but I think there were some interesting decisions that he made that I think when he looks back on the film, I think he's gonna say, well, I should have done that better, and I should have done that better. I don't think that this diminishes his ability as a quarterback. I don't think that this puts him as a choke. He was fine, but he didn't turn the ball over. But he Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he didn't have that. I think the last drive of the game, I think also was a telltale sign on Matt Ryan. It just weird. It was an odd thing because either you kneel and take this to overtime, or you're gunning it down the field come hell or high water. Because
I was very confused on this drive.
I honestly, at that point, I was feeling uber confident in the defense.
Well, I was very confused because if you're a coach, you're thinking to yourself, okay, you've got no timeouts, so I'm either going to kneel, but I've seen all the momentum that the Patriots have, and if there's an opportunity where the Patriots get the ball to start overtime, I don't want that. So
yeah, I think you've got to win. I think you got to win there. You got. That's
I would have taken a couple chances. Take a couple chances
Yeah.
down the field. If you don't get it by that point, take a knee. That's fine. But I think in that situation, you would have gone for it because we've seen the GOAT Aaron Rodgers, or one of the GOATs, Aaron Rodgers, do some things with a little bit of time. So, I'm just saying for that.
His last completion was to Tony Milwaukee.
I did think I'll agree with you guys on the point that I didn't think I know that it's hard because in that situation, you have no timeouts. You don't necessarily want to force the ball down the field because the Patriots have been scoring at will at this point, and you're going to have to punt it or maybe throw a pick if it's not open. But, he didn't have enough balls.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Well, he's used to playing with the lead too, right? He's used to like I said before, Matt Ryan and that Falcons team would put up tons of points during the regular season, the first half, and then I think, and you know what? I don't want to throw Ryan under the bus, so I'm not. So I think the next best thing is I don't think the play calling is that great. I don't think Shanahan did a good job of keep getting first downs, but still threatening the Patriots defense with the long ball. I think the Patriots knew, let's just pack the box and play tight coverage and get them to get the ball out of Matt Ryan's hands quick.
I think a lot of times, though.
I don't know if this is. I think that there is an underestimated factor in this game, and I think that the Patriots. We'll get to the Patriots stats on defense, but that secondary did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Kev.
They really did.
Finally.
I mean, Taylor Gabriel was open in that third quarter like 3 times, but he wasn't seen after. Mohamed Sanu was not mentioned.
Yeah.
In the second half. And Julio Jones was his main. He was throwing to Austin Hooper, Tony Milwaukee, and then there was that one
to DeMarco on his first 2 completions.
Yeah, and the pressure. The pressure also was such a huge factor in this game. The Falcons' offensive line, which was such a huge difference for them throughout the whole year, was a big factor tonight. That Mac's injury was a huge part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Can I answer this question? Space Cowboy commented, how many rings would the Patriots have in the NFC? 5.
20.
Thank you.
20. So let's go to the rushing side because there was not very much to say about the Patriots side. LeGarrette Blount, 11 carries for 31 yards. Not very helpful at all. I think he was getting stuffed quite a bit by the defensive line, who was putting a lot of pressure, especially in the first half, and they were trying to contain the running backs.
If Atlanta did a great job in any facet of the game all game long, it was their run defense.
They were very, very protective of trying to stop these guys, and I think they did a pretty good job. The longest rush was by Tom Brady himself, 15 yards.
Yeah.
So they were pretty effective in stopping the run. James White, he did have 6 carries for 29 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner in overtime. But if we're going to go by stats, he didn't have the greatest game in the world. So these guys were virtually, I don't want to say non-existent because one guy scored the game when he won, but in terms of what they did throughout the game, they weren't very good. And
if you're just looking at this from a perspective of he turns around and hands off the ball, you're absolutely right, Dylan. They were not effective. But how Josh McDaniels got James White on the outside was
that was beautiful, and I was going to talk about that.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that was such a key factor, and I would argue is part of the running game. What James White did out of the backfield, I think, is. I mean, we don't look at it as handoff; it goes to passing, but he's a running back doing that, and I think it was such a difference in the game.
Kev, it wasn't I want to say two things because this might be only from a Patriots fan perspective. First of all, this might be James White's most carries he's had in his whole career.
Six.
He never runs the ball. So 6 for 29 for 2 touchdowns. I would have never expected James White to have 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. Never.
Well, and you could argue that he was the only, not MVP, but second because he's a receiver. 14 receptions. Yeah. That might be
and record. The thing, Dylan, is Kev brought up the out of the backfield, but a lot of times he lined up as a receiver and he was beating these guys. Not like Edelman early in the game was the guy consistently. Once they had White, who started beating those other players in that matchup, the Atlanta defense was like, "Uh-oh, we can't cover 2 guys now. We gotta switch our coverage." Then Malcolm Mitchell got open, and Amendola got open. Well, they switched a little bit of their defense up, but then even in the fourth quarter and overtime when they went back to that man coverage, guys were still burning them. Get back to those stats, though.
I must have seen White go, would be on the line of scrimmage, take 1 step to the left so that the ball would go right to him and get an 8-yard catch 4 or 5 times in this game. So there was obviously some room for James White to get open, and they did a great job with that. In terms of the Falcons rushing, we had Devontae Freeman, who was basically a 2-drive guy. 11 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. A lot of that came in the first 2 drives, like I said.
And 1 carry for 37, which was the first play.
That was the first play. Tevin Coleman, 7 carries for 29 yards. So what they were doing in the first half was simple. They were just trying to get their running backs a little bit adjusted. They were trying to alleviate what Matt Ryan was doing. And Matt Ryan, of course, MVP and whatnot. But you have somebody like Devontae Freeman, and I think they were very happy with him in the first half. They used him correctly. They used a lot of great calls for him, and he was getting open. Of course, the 37-yard rush to start the game, you want to have the momentum, or at least the first Falcons drive. They were getting a lot of momentum, and that was key for them. But in the second half, these guys were pretty non-existent. I would give the Patriots credit. They did a lot of good stuff.
They're existently going backwards.
Yeah, they were in the second half. They were going in the line of scrimmage, and they would get back 3 yards. The Falcons were basically non-existent on the rushing game in the second half, and I give the Patriots credit for that. They did a good job.
Dylan,
what they were doing, especially
Dylan.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Can we just get back to James White for a super quick second?
Yeah.
14 receptions is a Super Bowl record, and he's the first player since Terrell Davis to get 3 touchdowns in a Super Bowl.
Wait, 14 receptions for a player or a running back?
Player.
Super Bowl player.
Wow.
Yep.
I was thinking that had to be a record. So that's absolutely incredible. And James White, didn't get the MVP because Tom Brady had the greatest performance of all time, but you deserve a co-MVP.
You know what? Watching a lot of football in the time I've been alive, it's so different. That's why this Super Bowl was something that no one's ever seen. It's so different to see an offense in the second half pretty much have to change their game plan to come back from what they were down, right? It's Atlanta did the wrong thing in scheming, and Patriots knew what Atlanta was going to be doing, and vice versa, Atlanta offense versus New England defense. It's to come back, this is a Super Bowl we have not even witnessed before, that obviously New England wouldn't have much of a running game for stopping New England's running game in the first half, but then New England couldn't run. Tom Brady threw 62 passes. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
He had to.
For a winning quarterback, I don't know if your attempts have been that high before for a winning quarterback.
No, that's the highest.
The second highest is probably Brady last Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
have to look at that.
I'll do that.
For in terms of winning quarterback.
And then going back, I wasn't hearing the start, as just an odds watching football, betting on football, seeing the ups and downs, you're in field goal range to make it an 11-point game, the Super Bowl, and you take a sack and then you follow it up with a holding call to get out of field goal range. All you need is a field goal and you are Super Bowl champs. Julio Jones pulls off an incredible catch. Because I didn't catch you in the first part of it, but I just wanted to say that it is mind blown. The odds of
we talked a little bit about that, but I think again, Again, Adam, that's the way. I think at the end of the day, that's how Atlanta was winning, and I think their cockiness caught up with them. I think it was
I'm not going to go cockiness.
Because another factor, like I brought up, was Atlanta was going backwards on these toss plays. Maybe they should have ran the ball just straight up the middle a couple of times and kicked. But then they were like, okay, we're going backwards on these runs. We're going to give it to our MVP. We're going to throw. And the Patriots defense made plays. They forced us. They got a sack. And then they forced a holding call. They didn't just get a holding call. That was a forced holding call.
It was a bad hold, too. The guy
what I'm going to say here is I think they took their foot off the gas pedal. That's what I'm going to put. I think they were in a position where, like, all right, we're a little more comfortable. We're going to do little screen passes. We're going to do little key throws to get 4 or 5 yards. We're not really going to throw it deep unless if our boy Julio Jones is open. And I just think they didn't put on their foot on the gas pedal the whole time. I think that's a key factor in them, especially that drive you're talking about, where they basically killed themselves.
Yeah,
they had the Julio Jones catch. Like, holy crap, it's done. They've got it settled in the bag. All they got to do is kick a field goal. The sack, I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
Now you just backed yourself in a corner. Then the 10-yard holding penalty. Jesus, back to 3rd and 33.
Yeah.
You basically killed yourself. So let's get into the receiving group.
Okay. But, I just
Can I comment on the running backs too after Kev?
Yeah, I just don't think they used Freeman well in the second half. You could have run. I don't think they were able to run up the middle because of Andy Mack. But I just don't think. I just don't understand why the running game just disappeared.
Like, it didn't. Why do people thought the running game disappeared? They couldn't run.
It did disappear. I mean, like, I'm not discrediting what the Patriots did when the runs were happening.
Matt Ryan threw the ball 23 times.
They
ran the ball 18.
Okay. Yeah, I just
look at the time of possession too. Right?
You didn't have that.
Yeah,
but you didn't get, and we're going to get to the Patriots defensive side of this, but you didn't get that running drive that puts.
Kev,
the
it
game
was
away.
Not going to happen.
Let
the Patriots have not allowed a 90. Shut up, Dylan. Okay? They have not allowed a 90-yard rusher in 26 games.
But we're talking right now about the Falcons running back, and I think the way that they used the running back was ineffective.
Do you mean on outside runs?
Outside, inside, the way that they were killing the clock, it wasn't good. It really wasn't.
Okay, I can agree with you there. I thought when they started running it outside and they weren't getting that going, the reason they were running outside is, first of all, their offense is predicated on running the ball outside. That's the Kyle Shanahan scheme. Second of all, they couldn't run inside because the Patriots players are too big. They couldn't block them. Alan Branch and Malcolm Brown are too big. They would have controlled them in the inside. That's why they didn't run.
Yeah, but I think we're specifically talking about the running game of the Falcons, and I think the way that the strategy there wasn't effective, in my opinion.
Okay,
and that's all I'm saying. I think there's a number of different ways that you can work around when you're trying to kill the clock. They weren't doing it.
Okay. And I think too that goes back to Shanahan thinking, okay, halftime, his offense was perfect in the first half to a certain degree, right? So he's thinking, this is how I'm play calling. And then all of a sudden, he has like 30 minutes during halftime to be like, what do we do now? We're up. All we have to do is just get first downs, get points. And then obviously they got it their second possession of the half. But then he's just like, now, how am I supposed to do this? I don't want Matt Ryan to throw deep and get a pick. Like, let's try to do West Coast, run the ball. And New England was just stacking the box and playing like just playing tight defense on the guys. And he wasn't willing to call a play that would test them. And New England's defense won the second half for them and the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Brady was always going to put up points, like we always said. I think I give all credit to that New England defense because they did an unbelievable job. But I think it was because of the position they were put in with Patricia calling the plays and Shanahan calling maybe not the best offensive plays.
See, I agree, Adam, because
I said, New England.
Yeah. I said that the biggest difference in the second half was the Patriots' ability to stop the run.
Yeah.
And because that forced Atlanta to question their run game and to force them to pass. That's why they were passing, because they couldn't run, and they knew that if they kept going 3 and out, they would have punted it to Brady. He would have scored. It would have given him less time. If they weren't passing the ball, they wouldn't have gotten the Julio Jones play. If they ran the ball there, they wouldn't have got the Julio Jones play. They wouldn't have got those big plays in the passing game. And they continued to run the ball.
There were a couple of big plays, but I would say Kyle Shanahan also, after the run stopped, he just kind of wanted like possession catches, like 10-yard outs.
I think that's more like on Matt Ryan, to be honest.
Yeah, you could say he's the guy. Like maybe the guys were there in a certain situation, maybe just didn't put the right throw or the right.
You never know because Matt Ryan's the one throwing the ball.
100%. But I just say, saying the play call from Kyle Shanahan, I think regardless of the QB play, was very different from what got them there and what got them to being up that many points in the second half.
Also, I want to make a point.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a quick point. I did not think that the Falcons were going to be able to run in this game, and I did say that. I thought that the Falcons' running game was a little bit overrated. And I think we did see that little bit of that tonight.
See, I think I thought they would have some success early with the stretch, and they did because I like I said earlier, the Falcons that scheme has given the Patriots troubles in the past. Because the Patriots are predicated off big men in the middle, it makes them move outside. But once the Patriots ends started playing more physical and pushing those guys backwards, it forced the running backs backwards, and they played good run defense that way. I was confused, Kev, when what you were saying earlier about the run calls. I thought you meant that they were just not calling the run enough. And I want to make that known that they were not calling the run because they couldn't run. I'll say that again. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've said enough. When we talk about the Patriots defense, we're going to focus on that part of the aspect there because there's a number of things that we can get into on that too. But
if you think about it, he had 10 carries for what, 40 75 yards,
75 yards,
11 for 75, but one was 37 yards.
Yeah.
So 10 for 40 something yards.
Yeah, I don't think the Falcons running. I mean, even you look back at that Green Bay game, that Falcons running game wasn't outstanding there either. Matt Ryan was the leading rusher in the first half of that Green Bay game.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know that people are in love with Freeman and Coleman, but I don't. I think that
you're right in a way, Kev, because they failed to capitalize when they needed the running backs to run the ball. They didn't.
Yeah, That's why we're having a conversation like we are right now.
I was staying silent so I didn't yell through the computer. But let's get into the receiving game. There was some key things for the rushing, but let's get in here with the receiving. James White, we talked about earlier on. He had a great game over in the receiving side. 14 catches, as Kevil said, that's the most by any player ever in the Super Bowl. 110 yards and a touchdown. So 3 touchdowns for him, and his long was 48 yards or 28 yards? Sorry. Julian Edelman, 5 receptions, 87 yards, no touchdowns, but that fantastic catch that we talked about, 3 defenders on 1, absolutely incredible. Amendola showed up, 8 receptions for 78 yards and a touchdown. Malcolm Mitchell, 6 for 70. So there were some key players that were showing up. Hogan had 4 for 57, although he did have a couple of key drops in the first half. That was kind of like, I don't really know where he was going for that, and it just was a couple of drops there. For the Falcon side, the most targeted receiver was Gabriel. He had 3 receptions for 76 yards, but he was only targeted 5 times. Julio Jones, 4 receptions for 87 yards. He was targeted 4 times. Austin Hooper, 3 for 32 and a touchdown. And Coleman was their other touchdown with 1 reception for 6 yards. So there were a couple of guys that were getting open at key situations. Of course, we talked about James White. He had a big game, and I thought that was quite interesting. They were using him in setups where he was in the running back formation, but also as a wide receiver on the line, and he was making a lot of key plays. Of course, Tom Brady was throwing just bullets to him so that he could make whatever kind of play he needed to make, and he did do quite a bit of those. And I think overall, the receivers, some of them made big games, but nobody stood out besides White as having like a great, fantastic game overall. So I want to get your guys' opinion. Who stood out to you? Who made the biggest plays? And who made the defenders look like chumps?
I want to give a shout out to Danny Amendola. This was Danny Amendola's best game of the entire season, and it came in the Super Bowl. He had 8 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown. He had the 2-point conversion as well. if I remember correctly, off the screen pass. He barely got in too, but he got in. I want to say this because Danny Amendola is a guy that has, at the beginning when he signed with the Patriots, he came in with high expectations. He's a guy that's constantly injured, but he always came up with the big play. He did it again in this game. Clutch playoff performer. He's playing through injuries. He played the game, caught 8 passes, was a big-time performer, got some clutch conversions in this game, and was a huge reason. Along with Edelman will get the credit, White will get the credit, but Amendola was another key piece to this team that they missed a little bit down the stretch, but Amendola definitely stepped up in this game. I want to give him credit for that. Mitchell, I thought, did his share. Bennett, I think, provided a couple of bigger plays that they needed from that tight end position. As a Patriots fan, being without Gronkowski a few seasons, it's hurt us. But now that we had Bennett this season, part of the reason we won the Super Bowl, not only was he catching 5 for 62, but he was an actual threat at the tight end position. That's a big deal. And he was blocking well. They kept him into block in situations at the end of the game for the extra blocker. So Bennett played very well. Again, another guy playing injured. Like you said, White, Lewis caught 1 pass. Blunt barely played. Hogan did have some drops. It wasn't his best game, but I think they keyed on him and Edelman especially. The other guys stepped up, and that was maybe the biggest difference. The Patriots' extra players, White, Amendola, Mitchell, Bennett, stepped up. Gabriel, Sanu, where you at? Gabriel, 3 for 76, had some big plays. Mostly when they had, I think it was like, I don't know who they had on him. I think one actually was zone coverage, which was the big play. And I don't know exactly who the other guy was covering him. But they needed to step up. We always talk about the Patriots are going to take away what you do best, and that's the run game, and that's Julio Jones. And those guys, Gabriel and Sanu, some people thought they would show up. I thought they would to a certain degree, but they didn't. And the Patriots did a great job. I think the Patriots' complementary secondary players and also their pass rush, which we'll get to, was a big factor in that. What do you guys think about the receivers?
Well, I'll take obviously Atlanta's. I don't think they went to Jones as much. Maybe that wasn't because he was open, but I still think for receptions, I don't know exactly what the targets were, but I'm assuming they were. If he got 4 catches, I'm assuming he was only thrown to like 6 times, right?
No, Julio Jones?
Or was he 4 for 4?
He was 4 for 4.
Yeah, he was only thrown to 4 times for Atlanta that way. And I don't want to keep on going back to having a first half lead. I think that, like, obviously there was some sort of hesitant because he was 12 for 4 at one point, and then he finished Matt Ryan 17 for 23. The second half, there was just something off. And give credit to New England's defense. They were able to shut that down. But there was something almost – like they already thought they won the Super Bowl, like after half, or especially after that touchdown to Coleman in the third quarter.
I'm not sure. We'll never know, Adam, but I think part of it is adjustments. I think a part of it was adjustments from the Patriots.
For sure. Yeah, no, I could get that. So if we want to go to the Patriots too, offense, it's like anytime the quarterback throws for 466, you're going to have receivers that are done well and getting open. Like, it's actually like Tom Brady spread the ball out really well. And you know what? I don't think you would give the Patriots receivers an A grade in this game because there were a lot of drops. And if the game went the other way, I think a lot of people, even with these stats, would be talking about the Patriots drops in key situations.
Yeah, they would have been like, oh, Brady has no weapons. But I think Brady and the team proved that they did have some players.
No, and definitely, and they played well. Like, obviously, you said White 110, which I do believe Atlanta's defense kind of was hoping White would catch out of the backfield because early in the game, we saw some swing passes that were stopped immediately with very good tackling from the Atlanta defense. So I think Atlanta, going into the game, wasn't really worried about the pass out of the backfield because they thought they had team defensive speed to stop it. And then that Edelman catch, Amendola got open, and Hogan made some great plays down the stretch after dropping. Obviously, Bennett made a good catch in overtime. No, in just before they scored, and then also caused the PI call. So you have to give them A grade, but I guarantee you if Atlanta wins this game, obviously, which they didn't, I think we're talking about how the New England receivers weren't on point as much as they normally are.
When was the last drop for the Patriots? Last drop pass?
Probably the first half.
No, third quarter. I remember
quarter,
Edelman dropped the big one right in his hands in middle third quarter.
Edelman, people always say Edelman doesn't drop that many passes. He actually drops probably one pass a game, but he gets thrown to so much in tough situations where he's in between two guys that sometimes he keeps his eye off the ball. He's looking forward to after the catch. Oh, that's something I forgot to bring up, and then I'll get to Kevin and Dylan. One thing I forgot to bring up was James White after the catch, because he was catching a lot of passes that were kind of shorter, and he would take that after the catch. In the first half, he was getting shoestring tackled, hit for like 2 yards, but he was creating a lot after the catch. All of them were, but James White the most.
As long as 28, so he did a pretty good job getting outside after those catches. So
here's a key stat for you.
Okay.
Third downs. New England,
Yes.
7 for 14. Atlanta, 1 for 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought that up earlier in the preview. That was going to be a key factor. So
And to me, it's interesting listening to all of you because you're talking about White, Edelman, Amendola, Mitchell, Bennett, and yes, there were drops. Yes, there were this, but they came up with a key catch. The only key catch that I remember that the Falcons had was Julio Jones on that one play.
That's exactly what I said, Kev.
But Kev, you know sports media, man. You know if they lost this game, they'd be talking about the catches, man. Regardless, if they even lost the game in overtime, they'd be talking about the catches, man. You know it. You know, like, come on. We can't sit here and talk about those drops didn't mean anything. If Atlanta wins this game, people are talking about the drops. 100%.
I think if
Atlanta wins this game, they're talking about
if Atlanta. I'll tell you what I think. If Atlanta won this game, people would be talking about how Brady is a choke. And they would be mocking Brady right now. I guarantee you that's what would be.
That would be the hater comments, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a majority.
But my point is.
But I'm saying a legitimate argument wouldn't be hating on Brady. It would be like if they caught those catches, it could have changed the game. That would be a realistic comment.
But how did they lose, though, is the question.
But what
was the score?
Well, I'm just saying at the end of the game, if Atlanta wins, there were a couple third down catches. You could be like,
are we talking Atlanta wins in overtime or Atlanta wins 40-10?
Even if Atlanta wins in overtime, you're still talking about those third downs. Oh, maybe in the third quarter, early in the third quarter when Edelman dropped that ball, maybe if he caught that, you know what I mean? Like they'd be talking about that. Obviously, we're not, but they would. I
think that the part of the problem here, though, is the Falcons couldn't. The Falcons couldn't sustain a drive. They just, and really, if you look back on the first half, they got those points quick, but they never really sustained anything. They never, like 21-3 felt like they were in control, but if you look closer, they weren't in control necessarily, because the Patriots still had the ball and they scored at the end. They had the ball for the last 5 or 6 minutes of that half. So
yeah, a lot of people forget. Like people are going to look at this game and be like, oh my God, Atlanta missed all these opportunities. They didn't have the ball a lot to make these opportunities.
Well, so to counter that, though.
But because they got a defensive touchdown, that's going to happen, right? You're going to get an extra 5 minutes because of
that time of possession was crazy. It was like, I don't know. The Patriots had to have it for at least 38 minutes. That's what
I'll find out what that was, but I also said that was.
It was 50, yeah.
It was going to be a key into the game. But, I mean, the ball is being thrown 63 times if you include Edelman's throw. So there's going to be drops when you're throwing 63 times.
Yeah.
It happens.
Same as sacks. People are like, oh, my God, Brady keeps getting hit. They've thrown the ball 63 times. There's going to be sacks.
So, to be fair, though, they were trying to put a lot of pressure on
in the first half. I agree with you.
The only reason I don't like that argument is like even if you throw 62 times, if the ball is in your hands, you should catch it. I'm sorry, I don't like that. I don't like that cop out.
Okay, yeah. If the
ball's in your hands, you catch it, and if you don't, you're the sucker. And I think a lot of the times it was New England guys not catching it. Obviously, it didn't hurt them. They won the Super Bowl. They're champs. They're the world greatest. You know, Will Smith, world greatest boxing movie. Boom. Legendary. Dylan's got me. And they're the champs. But I'm just saying, those passes that they dropped were not like New England receivers, and they had it in their hands, and they didn't catch it. So I'm saying if they did lose, Atlanta wins, we're talking about those catches more than we are now. Because now who cares? They between the game, they won. Doesn't matter.
Adam, one guy you said that could be the MVP. Mohamed Sanu had 2 catches for 25 yards. How do you feel about that?
You know what? I'm pretty upset about that. So
do you think it was okay? I want to ask you a question. Were you overrating Sanu? Were you overrating his impact on the game, or were you underrating the Patriots secondary?
He's underrated.
Oh, you got me there.
It's underrated.
Man, that's tough because I want to say that I overrated Sanu, but I underrated the DBs. But know who I underrated the most? Butler could play. He got burned a couple times. I still hate Eric Rowe. Doesn't matter. I don't care.
He played good.
He played decent. I'm saying I have new respect for Logan Ryan, right?
Yes, he covered Sanu.
I have new respect for Logan Ryan because he was physical, aggressive, more so than a lot of receivers, which I think helped them a lot. Even a couple times when Logan Ryan was on Julio Jones, he was up in his face, up in his base mat, up in his pads like the first couple of yards. And I think that kind of changed the momentum of the game because if you look at those times where he didn't have the ball, he kind of chipped away at Julio and those receivers, getting up in their face early. So I'll give credit to Logan Ryan. But I'll also add maybe Sanu wasn't the greatest free agent.
Let's go ahead and get into the defense because we are not.
Okay, I just want to.
We want to keep going, Dylan. We want to keep going.
The answer is Mohamed Sanu was underestimated by.
Okay, I think. Oh, what was I going to say? Damn it!
No, Dylan. I just wanted to talk time of possession quickly.
Okay.
40 minutes, 31 seconds for the Patriots. 23 minutes, 27 seconds for the Falcons.
Holy God! And that includes overtime, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goal to go efficiency: 3 for 4 for the Patriots, 1 for 1 for Atlanta. So they didn't have that big play. They didn't have a number of opportunities.
No,
they really didn't.
And also the fact that they were getting with the red zone defense, and that was a key we were talking about earlier on. Was the fact that the red zone defense for the Falcons is absolute trash. And they weren't able to connect in here either. They got them to no opportunities to stop them, so they weren't able to be effective there. So that was critical for them. We have our defensive players. We got some standouts here. Patrick Chung, I thought, had a good game. Tyler Flowers had 2.5 sacks, so that was good for him. Logan Ryan, we talked about, was quite good. Eric Rowe, I thought, was quite decent. I don't think he was that bad. Adam, as you want to say he is, but I think he was.
No, he's trash. He's trash. Okay, I'm not going to give you Eric Rowe, man. Eric Rowe is trash.
Adam, just because he was trash in Philadelphia does not mean he was trash in New England. Okay, he was trash in Philadelphia, but I think he had a decent game here. McCourty, I think, was pretty good as well. Alan Branch, Hightower. There was a couple of key players on the New England defense. I think were able to step up and especially in the second half. Make big plays, put a little more pressure on Matt Ryan to make these throws, make the receivers kind of look not criminal, like not as good as they were because they only got Mohamed Sanu to 2 catches and 25 yards. And for somebody that thought he could have been the MVP, Adam, you got to give a little bit credit to the defense there. There was something they did correct. And the biggest receiver in terms of yardage all night was Julio Jones. And let's be honest, he made 2 fantastic catches that really weren't up to the defense.
Contested, too.
Yeah. So if you're the defense, obviously you won the fucking Super Bowl, so it's not like you're going to take the loss. But I think this is a huge benefit to your next season. You were built as number 1 offense versus number 1 defense. 4 of the last 5 had been the defense that wins. And the defense won once again. And I think with these defensive stats, they proved to be as good as they were pumped up to be going into the season. So,
let's just here's a thought. We talked a lot about out of this game about how the Patriots take away the best thing and the best thing that you do. You know what the Falcons' best thing that they do is be on offense. So what did the Patriots do? Be on offense is put Matt Ryan on the bench. Is the best way to stop Matt Ryan is not have Matt Ryan play at all. And you saw that with the time of possession. The Patriots weren't fantastic defensively, but they did enough to get the Patriots off the field. 1 for 8 on 3rd down. considering where it's fantastic, considering what they did with Seattle and Green Bay. That's clutch defense. They got clutched 3rd and 33, 2 clutch sacks, one by Hightower, and I think the other one was by Flowers.
Yeah,
they got the play at the right time. They made the stops at the right time. That's
true.
And that's what Super Bowl, like, we talk about defense wins championships. Timely defense wins championships.
And that's what we saw. Fumble. They forced the fumble that got Matt Ryan, off edge, and they were able to score on the next possession. So they were very clutch in those situations for the defense. Because let's be honest, it's a 4-quarter game, and even though they were beat in the first half with a 21-3 deficit, they came in the second half and ruled. So I think they did a pretty good job overall.
And that secondary is underrated. It really is. Like since that fucking interception for Malcolm Butler, he's become one of the top corners in the game. He really has.
Well, if you think about it, Kev,
I was not expecting Kev to cuss on me.
People for some reason underrate the Patriots secondary, even though they have basically 2 All-Pros.
No, I'm saying, but Butler got on. Like, there were options, and
that was a zone. That was a zone defense. He tripped on the play. I'll give you that.
This whole season,
like his audio just cut out, I guess.
Oh, okay. Adam?
No, true. No, I heard you.
Okay.
All I would say is, like, it's something I actually might have to actually watch the full game tomorrow or something, and like really dissect and see if Butler or Rowe played a good game, because it's something obviously you're not watching during the season. But
Butler wasn't okay. Butler was okay. He didn't have the biggest game in the world, and he got his ankles broken. But he wasn't exactly like he wasn't bad. He played as okay of a.
I think the thing with Malcolm Butler that was great was he covered all the receivers. You saw him one play, he covered Gabriel. One play, he would cover Sanu. One play, he would cover Jones. He was moving around and he was covering different people, and that allowed the Patriots to form the defense they wanted to do. And this was a thing I wanted to talk about like 10 minutes ago, but I never got around to it. When Adam was talking about physicality, I think like you said, tale of 2 halves. I think the Falcons' speed was the tale of the first half, and the Patriots' physicality was the tale of the second half, because in big plays, their offensive line performed. Big plays, their defensive line performed. And in big plays, their secondary physically dominated. So I think physicality second half, speed first half.
Yep, I agree. They go to the defense here for Atlanta. There was some key players, actually. There was a really good couple of guys here on the defense for the Atlanta. Keanu Neal, 13 tackles. I think he had a pretty good game himself. We had Robert Alford. He did a good game. Jalen Collins did his thing. Deion Jones, I was thinking through the first half was going to be the MVP, because he had a fantastic way of making the pressure on Tom Brady. He, of course, forced the fumble early on, so I thought that was going to be the swing of things, because we were talking about how this defense is not that great, but if they were going to be able to create turnovers, that could change the tide and let Atlanta score. So I think Deion Jones for the first half was pretty good. Grady Jarrett, of course, 3 sacks, which is tied for the Super Bowl record. I think he, of course, had a good game. Poole was pretty good. Goodwin had some opportunities, and he stopped the ball quite a bit. So I think there were some key players on the Atlanta defense through probably 3 quarters that were doing a great job. And then the fourth quarter, just everything kind of collapsed in on itself. Not a good.
You know whose name we did not hear tonight? Not once, not a single time.
Vic Beasley.
One play.
We heard it one play when it was the second to last play of the game. And that's it. And that's a good point, because we were talking about him as the star, and at one point in one of my prediction videos, I said he's the only star on the defense.
I may piss people off, Dylan, right now, but coming into this game, I thought Vic Beasley was one of the most overrated defensive players. I know he led the league in sacks, but if you actually look at where he got his sacks against a lot of backups and a lot of bad offensive lines. I think he had like 4 sacks against Denver, like 3 sacks against like the Colts or something like that. Like he piled up a lot of sacks in big games. He had big games, but he wasn't consistent through the rest of the season, and he didn't show up really in the playoffs.
Well, and looking at this stat chart here, he's actually ranked last on the defenders for Atlanta in terms of anything, on like production, tackles, anything. So
Marcus Cannon.
He didn't get one tackle. He didn't get one tackle this game. One tackle.
Marcus
He put pressure. He didn't even get an assist, a tackle.
He had one pass deflection. That's it.
In coverage, he's a defensive end. Marcus Cannon.
Yes.
That's why the Patriots paid the man.
Marcus Cannon.
Okay, I want to go over these stats like you did.
Just one other thing.
Go
4
ahead,
first downs for the Patriots by penalty.
Including 3 on one drive. So
And one
so-
penalty.
but-
One penalty
one
for
by the
Atlanta.
Patriots.
One penalty for Atlanta gave them a touchdown.
Yeah.
The Butler one.
So I think what happened was as this game went on, there's 2 things that happened. They got the 2 turnovers early, but the Falcons offense weren't in great field position for most of this game.
The special teams was a big deal. We didn't even bring that up. I guess we will after defense.
But they're in the first half, it was huge for Atlanta because they at least their first 2 possessions, they at least moved the ball enough to pin New England. I'm pretty sure field position, they won the battle in the first half.
They not really, actually. I would disagree with you because they were starting at their 10 and their 20 themselves. They weren't at the 50. They weren't at. I think that the problem was the Falcons didn't get. We talked about the offense not making that clutch play. There wasn't the clutch turnover. What
are you talking about? They got a pick 6.
They've got a pick 6.
In the second half, there was nothing.
Oh, okay.
In the second half, they
I was
didn't
like,
get that.
Very confused.
And I mean, yes, that's a pick 6, and the pick 6 is always clutch. But the second
Yeah,
half,
but Kev, I think I could argue, and other people could argue, the reason why they were up that many points was their defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They got 14 points off their defense, basically.
Yeah. Okay. But I think that they wore down as the game went on. I think that.
Yeah, you are going to. That was part of. I'm not going to say the genius, but the scheme of the Patriots, maybe.
You know what would be an absolutely fascinating but very nerdy, boring exercise for some people? But I might do it. I'm going to watch the Patriots-Seahawks Super Bowl 49 and compare it to this because I bet you the adjustments were exactly the same.
Didn't you
watch
that game?
Kev didn't. I don't think Kev watched it.
I watched it. I did watch it, but I mean, watch again and with the comparison because there was a lot of very similar
side by side. Kev's got both monitors.
Yeah, let's do it. Got both monitors going. Yeah, popcorn, coffee. What? Yeah, no, I mean it's because it's very fascinating to see because the games really mirrored each other in a lot of ways. How the Patriots attacked that Falcons defense was
the same defense. I was talking about that the whole time during the preview.
But the adjustments, the adjustment part was fascinating in a lot of ways too, because you would have thought Dan Quinn learned his lesson in some ways. But
true. I just don't think Dan Quinn had the talent on defense.
Yeah, no, they got worn down. Tom Brady took over, and especially Atlanta. Atlanta stopped getting pressure with their front 4. Brady had all time of the day, and those defensive backs weren't good enough to contend with.
That's part of the experience too, because the Patriots, a lot of them know the grind of the Super Bowl. It's a long game. You have the long halftime. You have the long breaks. You need to condition yourself.
I want to bring that up. There was an 1 and 6 minute difference between the last possession of the Falcons in the second quarter and their first possession in the third quarter. I think that's a key thing because you brought up the inexperience level. You have something where the Patriots are used to having to come out there and figure out what they need to do because they also were off the field for probably 40 or 45 minutes as well. But they were able to go back on the field and get themselves an opportunity to drive and make good plays. With the Falcons, they weren't on the field for over an hour, and that inexperience to go along with the fact that Dan Quinn doesn't have as great of a defense as he did in Seattle, I just think there was bigger things ahead of him that just made it a worse situation for him.
On top of that, Dylan, I think the hour-long or whatever it is halftime show where McDaniels and Patricia and Belichick could game plan a whole second half, let's do this. where an average halftime, you don't have the ability to do that. But in the Super Bowl, you do. It paid huge dividends.
Yeah.
And I'm going to quickly just get to one of my Wikipedia math odds. How crazy is it to see? Like I said before, I've watched a lot of football. How crazy is it? A team down 16 with 6 minutes left. So now you need to not only score, not only get a 2-point conversion, get the ball back and score
and
get a
stop
2-point
the seventh
conversion.
best offense of all time.
100%. Like that is nuts.
I think we're getting into our overall recap of it all because
we still need to go over the defense.
I had to say I had to get into that just because like it's just crazy.
But Adam,
so many
can I ask you a question, Adam?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
I lost $2,000.
Did anybody have this guy though on their team though? Did it?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
They didn't. Who's that? What's that guy? Who's it?
His name. I think it's like it starts. It's like
yeah, he's pretty good.
Like Brady. I think he's like all right. I mean, he's like okay.
You could call him a system quarterback, right?
Someone on my Facebook is calling Brady a system quarterback.
Oh, bro,
no,
that's ridiculous. Get the fuck. Every team has a system. Get the fuck. And to make every single one of those throws, like seriously, bro, come on.
No,
so I want to talk about the stats. I was going to talk about it like 10 minutes ago. So Pat Chung led the team in tackles, or close. Had 4 tackles, 1 assist. He was solid. I think he was solid in the second half in terms of run game. I think he erased Hooper in the second half. He got beat for that touchdown, which I thought Hooper actually pushed off, but whatever. Flowers had 2.5 sacks. He was an X factor for me coming into the game. He played great in the second half, getting key sacks at key moments. And again, the thing was with the Mac injury, like Kev continues to bring up, and their guards not being their best pass blockers, Trey Flowers is that guy for the Patriots that this was basically his rookie season. He was moving around the defensive line all season, and it paid big time in this game because he was inside pass rushing and he got after Ryan a couple of times. Hightower was clutch with that forced fumble and the sack. Branch was great against the run. Sheard was great against the run, I actually thought, after having not a very good season. Logan Ryan, we talked about. Deron Harmon and McCourty, the silent killers in the deep defensive backfield. They don't really get their name called often because they don't make too many big plays, but it's the plays that that the other team doesn't make is the plays that they make. So that's the defense for the Patriots, basically. Kyle Van Noy, again, a half a sack. This guy was a guy that didn't even know the Patriots system through week 8, and he was in the Super Bowl starting. The Atlanta defense, I did think that Jared would probably have to be a difference maker for them to win. He had 3 sacks. Great game from him, and that's the record tied with Reggie White and Darnell Dockett and Coney Ely.
Reggie.
In pick 6 from Alfred, nice pick. Jalen Collins got abused all day long, 11 tackles, which is not a good stat for a D-back. 1 forced fumble for Jones, which had a great strip. I mean, their speed really paid off in the first half, but in the second half, they got overpowered and they got physically drained.
Their defense played a good 30 minutes. Atlanta's defense played a great 30 minutes. If you said that you would hold the New England Patriots to 3 points and you're up 21-3, you'd be laughing. But that's not how the game played out in the second half, I guess.
We came into this game thinking this defense is trash. We were basically trashing on this defense entirely. And at halftime, I was thinking, you got to be pretty confident having the 8th best scoring offense of all time to go along with the defense that just shut down Tom freaking Brady through a half. Of course, you got another 30 minutes to go, but mentally you got to be feeling pretty good. And I think being on the field a lot was critical. 40 minutes of on the field for the defense. I know there's a lot of time in between, but that's got to be a lot of hard work to do because they were especially long drives, especially the last drive to get them to 28-28. The 91-yard drive. So I think that had to do a lot with it, and it ended up changing the game.
And Dylan, on that point, 37 first downs for New England, 17 for Atlanta.
That's absolutely ridiculous. 37.
Yeah, and it's to me, I just had this. I wasn't like they're gonna come back for sure, but there was just something with me was like 21-3.
We talked about this, Kev. We talked about this. If you guys haven't seen the Super Bowl 49 retrospect, check it out, because me and Kev talked about this exact point. We compared Peyton and Tom, and nothing taken away from Peyton, but like we said, the Super Bowl 48, we kind of had that feeling Peyton's not going to come back. But in Super Bowl 49, we're like, okay, Tom's going to come back because we had that feeling. In this game, I had that same feeling.
I'll say this as a non-Patriots fan, though, because, I mean, I think that there's hope. There's always hope when you're the fan. That's just the reality of the situation. As a non-fan, I said this to the people I was with. If this was Peyton Manning, this game is over. This is Tom Brady. This game is not over.
And I want to bring this up. When I saw that it was 21-3, I was like, there's room to get this done. When I saw it was 28-3, I said they score on this drive or they're dead in the water. And that's I still feel that.
And they did score. And they did score.
Now, they missed the extra point, which still had me reeling that there was there. But they had the hope. They scored the touchdown, and I was like, they've still got, probably 20 minutes left in the game at that point. There was still time for Tom Brady to go do it. And, of course, with the number one defense, I know Adam's shaking his head like, no way. But the Patriots defense was there to make big stops. And I'm just telling you, it's Tom Brady. Don't ever question.
I totally respect the Tom Brady thing. Greatest quarterback of all time. But still, no person that's ever watched football really, really thought there might be a hint. If you're No. I'm saying you're a fan, though. You're a fan. You're always going to believe.
I'll say this. 28-3, I said very hard. 21-3, I said we can do this.
I did that at 28-3. The game is 28-3 in the third. Look at football across this time. The biggest comeback in Super history was 10 points. It's 28-3. If you thought they could, it would have been more of like a little wish, because that's what the chances were. A little wish. Like
what?
We
literally just told you we thought Tom Brady. I didn't say he was going to do it. I said there was a chance.
Yeah, I was like,
there was a chance, but there was a low chance. To think, like, how much money, Kev, would you put on the Patriots to win at 28-3?
I wouldn't have put any money on it, but I mean, it's just, it's not. It wasn't that I thought that they were going to win. It's just, even that I think that it's just. I've seen this before.
Yeah,
I've seen the Tom Brady story before, and the Tom Brady story, like they don't lose 28-3. They don't lose 21-3. They're not in these situations. They're not going to be pummeled. They are going to come back and make it a game. Like
that's true. Kev has a point with that.
Yeah, no, and I want to give a shout out to Winter watching, because he said he put more money on when the Patriots were down that much.
Won 2,500. So congratulations.
Well, congratulations. That must be great.
Good job.
Respect.
And Adam lost 25. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So let's go to this question, which some people want us to answer.
I do want to answer this question. Do the Falcons fall apart after this, or do they grow? It's a key question.
Oh, they grow.
This is interesting because the Panthers were in the same situations. Think about the Panthers too.
Mm-hmm. But it also has to do with a lot with what's going to happen in offseason, because they lost Josh Norman in their offseason coming into the 2016 season. They had other than that, they had a lot of things going on for them that they looked like they were going to be contenders. And
on top of that, who is the Patriots' biggest contender in the AFC next season?
The Raiders. Yeah, Oakland.
I think we all agree with that, but it depends. I think I'll say this: depends where Tony Romo goes as well.
Yeah, if Romo goes to the Broncos, I think they are a contender right away.
Yes, but
that's the same as the Texans.
We do credit them because we always say that the quarterback play is shit, but their defense is fantastic and their receivers are really, really good.
I would like to answer this question from a Seahawks fan's perspective.
Oh, here we go.
Well, this is comparable, right? Because we went down to the 1 yard line and we had a devastating loss. This is a devastating loss, so there's a parallel here.
But
there are going to be certain. Yeah, but there are growing pains that are going to happen from here.
But Kev, the difference between that is Atlanta could be considered a 1 year wonder like the Panthers, not the Seahawks, where they were consistently winning at that point.
They are consistently winning, but there's been a lot of friction
Yeah, I was gonna say even then.
Let's bring up something that happened this year with the Seahawks, with Richard Sherman got in that fight with Bevel about a play call on the 1 yard line.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always what you're going to have to work through this. This team is going to have to work through what happened here. It's just going to be a natural fact.
Well, if they want to blame it on their play calling, their play caller is gone.
Yeah,
Well, and I want to say this.
But there's always going to be, when you're in situations like this, there's going to be this bitterness towards someone, and they're going to have to work through it. That's all I'm saying, because the Seahawks are working through it too.
And I'm thinking about this. Seattle has declined in quality since that Super Bowl. And no offense to you, Kevel, but you're bringing up, they have not played to the quality of that championship team at 48 or even 49. They just have kind of fallen down. And this is a way more. And I'm sorry, 1 yard to 25-point deficit. They're comparable. And which one's worse? But I think this one's worse.
Being an Eagles fan, I've seen teams go very close. Obviously, in the early 2000s, it was like NFC Championship, but still like 11, 10-win seasons for like 5 years. I can see Atlanta going in that direction, still winning a lot of regular season games, still going late in the playoffs, maybe not the Super Bowl, but at least getting the NFC Championship, maybe just getting beaten late in the year by just a better team, but they're still quality. Because if you look at that defense is going to get better. It's very young. It's not like you're losing Josh Norman. It's not like you have a Kuechly that's like so much older, and their D-line was older. Like, this is a really
24 years old.
No, so would it be a situation where it's like the 49ers a couple of years ago, where they were in the NFC?
I just think this team is better. I have just more faith in this team. That obviously it was, the biggest loss in Super Bowl history. Like, it's gonna take a while to get over, but still, look at that offense.
There
it is, Adam. The biggest loss, not the biggest win. Got the quote.
So is it
biggest loss? It really was. No, and I don't want to take away from Patriots anytime I say that, but still, there are things that I thought it was one play here or there still that there wouldn't have been an overtime. You know what I mean?
So is it going to be the Falcons and the Cowboys NFC Championship?
Oh, I want to make no. Hold on. No. You stop.
Eagles, baby.
You stop right
Carson
here.
Wentz.
You guys forgot something completely. I'm telling you right now, you got to watch out for the Buccaneers. They are that team on the rise.
I agree.
We both called them as wild card teams, but like
Bucks need a few things. I think they need a few things. I think they have the foundation. I want to answer that question with Atlanta. I think that Atlanta will be back in the playoffs. Do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? No, next year.
I agree.
The Super Bowl hangover is something. They're going to lose a couple key guys maybe in the offseason. They're going to have to – I agree their defense will most likely be better. They'll not only get Trufant back, but they'll draft. They'll get some free agents. They're going to grow. I do think they need to beef up their defense a little bit. I understand that it's predicated on speed, but they need some big guys in key situations where they miss them. Their offense is going to be good no matter what. Kyle Shanahan, that loss will hurt them, probably the most of any loss that they have this season. And
they're going to lose Matt Schaub, who's going to be a
he's
QB.
legendary, the greatest pick-six thrower of all time, Matt Schaub.
Yes. Well, he's a veteran presence, though. So
he should be the QB.
They'll lose Dwight Freeney probably, which helped them develop along their defensive line. But I think they have a system in place. And like I always say, Bill Walsh said this. I've told you guys this before. The NFL, he said that we're only competing against 6 to 7 teams every year. There's only 6 to 7 teams that are actually going to want to win this year. That's what Bill Walsh always said. That's what Belichick believes. And I think Atlanta, with Dan Quinn, with Dimitroff, they have a system where they want to win every year. The Patriots want to win every year. The Steelers, the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Falcons,
Eagles
fall
into that category. So I think they'll be there.
Yeah,
I'm going to be interested to see what the Falcons do next year. I think that they could contend for the playoffs. Super Bowl, I think it's way too early to even have a conversation if they come back to the Super Bowl. I mean,
a lot of things play out, and I think the offseason is going to be the most key thing for them.
If I said my favorite in the NFC, I'd probably say Cowboys, but Atlanta would be right underneath. Yeah. AFC is interesting. Who contends with the Patriots? I mean, There's a couple names. I think the Steelers are a team that is probably on the decline, and they played them in the AFC Championship. Oakland is a team, obviously, that you have to look out for because Derek Carr will be back. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They'll probably be there, but will they actually impact the playoffs? Denver is a great organization. They'll probably be back at some point. Nobody in the AFC East. I want
to say either the Raiders or if they get Tony Romo, the Broncos will be there. Those are the two teams I would say, and they're both in the West. So.
I think the Texans are going to be someone quarterback or not.
The Texans need to get over that quarterback situation, but I agree with you, Kev.
Yes.
And they may not need a Tony Romo. They may go somewhere else that we're not thinking. So just that's something to think of.
Seattle take over.
Tyrod Taylor, maybe.
They don't need a spectacular quarterback.
Tyrod Taylor would be interesting in Houston, actually.
I like Tyrod Taylor.
I loved him. I like him too. Can we talk about special teams? Are we gonna miss this factor?
Yes, we can, because this was a huge factor. Kev, started off.
Gostkowski field position was key, but in the second half, I think one of the keys that is underrated that we didn't talk about is Gostkowski made a couple of key. Yes, he missed the extra point. But he hit 2 key pins back to the 8-yard line that helped put the.
He's on a punter, wasn't it, Allen?
No, on the kickoffs.
Gostkowski was fantastic.
Especially the one with 57 seconds left to get him placed up to like the 4 or 5.
See, that is the difference between a Bill Belichick coach team.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people don't want to say like. That is Belichick. That's Belichick influence. That isn't exactly the kicker because an average kicker without the direction would kick it out the back of the end zone.
Because they can.
But Belichick wants them to run it out. And Matthew Slater.
He had a good game.
I'm saying Hall of Famer, baby. Yeah, first special teams player Hall of Fame. 5 All-Pros. Hall of Famer.
If T.O.'s not in the Hall of Fame, I don't think Matthew Slater is ever going to get in.
Hey, well, they put in Morton Anderson. They put in Morton Anderson. We'll have a different T.O. conversation later. I do believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. Should have been on first ballot. But Matthew Slater and those other boys right in front of Weems' face when he would catch the ball.
And Julian Edelman, although he got stepped out of the 47 with the challenge, that he had a key punt return. That was the best punt return of the game. Was that one? The Falcons didn't have that big punt return. They didn't have the field position that I think they needed to win this game.
Agreed.
Not really.
In the first half, they did.
They
pinned them a couple times and then got the ball back.
But they weren't.
In the first half, they did. It's stats, man. In the first half, they did. They punted inside the 10. 3 times, maybe only actually twice.
No, I'm not talking about the Patriots starting field position. I'm talking about the Falcons offensive starting field position. They never had a great starting field position.
That was mostly due to great punts and great kicks. Because they didn't return it. It was a lot of fair catches and
they got the pick 6, which was a touchdown. They got the point off the turnover, but they had the 2 sustained. So really, Falcons offense can be credited for 14 points today. Other than the point off turnover and the turnover is the other 14. They didn't have, when they were playing the Green Bay Packers, they went and scored. Falcons offense. They took the ball and scored.
Yeah, but they weren't playing the Packers defense.
Defenses are completely different. I agree, but that was the Falcons' identity was that offense doing that kind of thing, and they weren't able to do it today, which was a factor in the game.
Mm-hmm. That was critical, and also the fact that they were playing against Seattle in the divisional round, they also scored quite a bit. So,
and we forgot, and people forget about this, and I kept bringing this up. That Devin Hester dominated that game against the Falcons in that divisional round, and I said that special teams was a weakness in the Falcons, and it showed up tonight. I think they're not as strong on that area as people.
Well, the Patriots weren't perfect because Gostkowski did miss that extra point.
Well, I just say, too, it's like I don't think Weems is a very good kick returner. I think he put in more of an athlete back there. I think he just didn't look very quick off the draw every time he caught it. Like, it just seems like he was lackadaisical, just trying to not fumble, try to make up some yards. But, like, that's inexcusable to field position off a kickoff to start at the 15 or even 10 to 20. It's inexcusable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's out. If it gets kicked out of bounds, you start at the 25. But there's still ways to do it. A lot of guys, like, I still don't get half the time. If you don't see a lane, if you just like let it bounce, that's going in the end zone. There's no way a kick bounces crazy over your head closer to the other team for an onside kick. I just don't get why you return it, even if it's at the 1. Let it go through the end zone, because if you return it at the 1 nowadays, you're not going to get close to the 25. Just let it go in the end zone and then take the 25 yards rather than 10.
Well, what's interesting though is Edelman cut the ball, I think on the tying one at the 8. He should have let it go.
No.
He should have let it go.
That pissed me off. That pissed me
and they
off.
scored, but I mean, it was interesting. But I don't think he had a choice though at that point, because they were right there. They would have had him in at the 2. He had to probably.
It could have been the way the ball was bouncing as well. It didn't really bounce a lot.
Yeah. So that was, to me, that's just another key factor, and I don't think people count that into the special teams as much as they should in NFL. I know in CFL.
Kev, I do want to say, Kev, though, the Patriots didn't have perfect field position. They had one.
No, I'm not saying that.
Their last drive was 91 yards.
Yeah,
but the Patriots. You know what the Patriots did? My point is for the Falcons to win this game, realistically, they got turnovers, but they didn't get that turnover that would have had the Falcons at the 40-yard line, that would have, had that opportunity to put the Falcons in a state.
Well, they got a touchdown off of one.
But not at the time.
That's why it's like.
I mean, yeah. See, we're looking at this. We're looking at the piece of paper. We're like, yeah, the Falcons were actually pretty good. But if you look deeper, they really weren't as good as we think.
I do want to give credit to Matt Bosher, who's great punting today for Falcons. Yeah. I thought
the punting was great, but the Patriots. We knew if the Patriots were on the 20-yard line, they would have a chance to score. If the Falcons were on the 20-yard line, did you think, Mitch, that they would have a chance to score all the time on the Patriots?
I guess I can answer the question.
Oh, I was on mute. I missed it. What did you say?
So the Patriots go from the Patriots. If the Patriots had the ball from the 20-yard line on the Falcons defense, and what were the chances that you think that they would score?
The Patriots had the ball at their own 20-yard line?
Yeah. What would the percentage out of 10?
In what situation? What do you?
In any situation, like when the
Patriots go 8 yards and score a touchdown.
Yeah, what were the chances? 7 out of 10. Okay, so when the Falcons had the ball at the 20-yard line on the Patriots defense, Mitch, what were the chances you think the Falcons would score from the 20 and go all the way down the field and score on the Patriots?
5.
That's my point. Yeah, I think the Falcons needed to win the field position battle more than they did to win this game. They needed a turnover in the second half at the 50-yard line to win this game. They didn't get that opportunity. They got 2 turnovers, I agree, but they didn't get the key turnover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I would agree with that. And I know, Dylan, are we kind of heading more into like total recap category?
Yeah. And
So here, let me go ahead and pull this out. So everything has fallen into place. We have talked about freaking everything possible, from the gameplay of the defense and how they were able to. One defense was able to make the plays in the second half, and one had a good first half that kind of failed them later on. We had receivers make big plays. Quarterback play was absolutely fantastic. The greatest comeback. We're going to get into that in the recaps. But I want to ask you guys this question when you get into your recaps. What did you think of both teams? What's the future for both teams? Where does this stand in terms of all-time great Super Bowls and performances? And just tell me your overall thoughts. What do you think overall? I'm gonna go across here, and I'm gonna go with myself last. So I'm gonna start with Adam.
Okay, wow! Like this was a whirlwind of a Super Bowl. When we were talking about this game early on, I was saying this is going to be one of the greatest Super Bowls in a long time. Just the top offense against the top defense, and then a very good offense with a defense in the Patriots. Obviously, the legacy of the Patriots I was trying to, when I was doing my predictions, I was trying to pick out all the teams that were ranked 20th in defense. And that was, Patriots, nice, whatever. But
Say it.
As the game went on, it was the Falcons were unbelievable in the first half. They did exactly what they wanted to do, game plan. And then the second half, I think they just forgot where they were there, and they were thinking way too far ahead. Because if you look at this game, there were a couple plays that if the Falcons made, and that's in hindsight, they would have won this game. Like being in field goal range to make an 11. If Ryan didn't fumble that one time. Like, there's a lot. And obviously on the Patriots side too. But I'll give credit to the Patriots because you can't give Tom Brady the ball at any point. And he converted on 4 scoring plays. And I think those 2-point conversions are going to be underlooked, but those were huge. You miss one of those, you lose the game. Just miss one. Obviously, it's only from 3 yards out, but if you miss one of them, you lose the game.
That one to James White was fantastic. I was very
Yeah. And then he gets in, and even on the touchdown, barely getting in, and then Amendola. But what I will say is a part of me feels for the Falcons because I played high school football, not big, but I was a starter, and we played in 2 provincial championships. Both championships we were leading, and both years in the second half, some reason our coach starts calling plays on our offense that's not what got us there. It's like you're just changing to a whole new offense that you have never done before. And we lost both times. And I think I saw that a bit here with Atlanta, obviously on a pro level, and give credit to New England's defense. New England's defense did what they needed to do, but I still thought Atlanta got away play calling wise of what got them there in the second half. Kudos to New England Patriots, though. Their defense did impress me. I take away every bad thing I said about the New England defense, except for Eric Rowe. Still trash. Will never play on my team. Ever. And then
hey, he's got one more ring than the Eagles do.
They got a lot more rings than the Eagles do. Oh, I guess he has one. Yeah,
Eric Rowe, yeah.
It's more than that. Yeah, just Eric Rowe. One is more than that. And Dion Lewis. We're just giving away players.
Oh, bro, I had a Browns fan. I know the one on earth was at my house watching the game. He was talking about the Browns the whole game. He's like, this guy's a Brown. This guy was a Brown. This guy. I'm like, the Browns are playing in the Super Bowl. You basically won the Super Bowl with all the Browns that played.
Browns are trash. All right, your whole organization failed as a company or as a team for having these guys that are talented. Gabriel, Lewis, fucking everybody go over, and now they're in the Super Bowl, and you're not. So congratulations, you played yourself.
The final thing I'll say is, I said it before. Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time. Belichick's the best coach. I'll now give them the dynasty. And I'll connect this dynasty with the team in the last 4 years, but not the 2001 years.
Okay.
But now it's all about the Eagles. Now I lost money. I don't care. Falcons lost. New England's the best. Whatever. Eagles, baby. 2017-18 season. Draft's coming.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to the Eagles in the off season where they usually belong when it comes to January.
Golf.
Fam, they'll be lucky to make 8-8. Where do you rank this in all-time Super Bowls? That question's to you, Adam.
Where do I rank this all-time Super Bowls? I'll rank this. I got to go number 2 for some reason. That Patriots Seahawks was just something about it ending that way. Obviously, ending in the overtime, first overtime ever. The way they drove the field, the way they came back. There's something about that whole play with all they need to do is go 1 yard and they throw a pick. I got to go with that, the number 1 Super Bowl. And this is close second. And I'll just leave it at that. 1-2. But this was second.
Fair enough.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Kevo, your thoughts on Super Bowl 51?
I'm going to do it this way. I'll get to this. Just a great start for the Falcons. Great end for the Patriots. 2 teams that represented themselves very well. they'll have a rematch next season. I think what people will look forward to. I think that's the Thursday night game. But I'll leave it to this. In terms of this, and this is from Pro Football Focus Mike on Twitter. On his 33 attempts during the comeback, only 2 fell incomplete to be an off target from the wide receiver, a ridiculously low rate. He went 26 for 33 for 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, and a passer rating of 122.7. Those stats are even crazier when we realize that only 206 of those 284 yards, 72% came prior to that catch. So basically, Brady's time to throw dropped to 2.43 seconds over the final 38 dropbacks. This was the single greatest I don't want to overreact, but this was the statement. There's no debate anymore. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback to ever play this game. Bill Belichick is the greatest coach to ever coach this football game. And the New England Patriots are these, like it or not, people, and I know there's Patriot haters out there, and that's fine. They are the standard of professional sports, period. All of it. NFL, MLB, MLS, NHL, soccer, lacrosse, moonball, wicket cricket.
What did Dylan say? Yeah, underwater basket weaving. That's what it was.
Underwater basket weaving. They are the standard.
How about Barcelona?
Everyone else is small. They are the standard of professional sports right now. There's not a debate about it. This was the statement. Hate on them all you want. They are the team, and that's just the reality of the situation.
Next.
Oh, one more question.
Oh, okay. Give Kev. Yeah.
Where do you rank this on your all-time?
Well, I'm going to actually sit back and think about this. I think that there's an opportunity for to look at this and be a Dave Meltzer, Dylan, and call this a 6-star match.
If nobody gets that, sorry.
Idiots of the IWC episode 2. Check that out.
But I need to think about this because there's the 2 that come as this one in Seattle, but there's also some other games as well. It's hard not to argue that this is the greatest game of all time, but I want to think about this a little bit before I say that for sure.
Okay, fair
enough. That's why you're the best at what you do. Yeah. You think about it.
Mitchell.
Okay, to answer Space Cowboy, this football is not deflated. It's actually properly inflated.
Totally.
A little small.
Totally deflated.
A little small.
PI level.
It's a little small though. Okay. So how did I feel about Super Bowl 51? My team won. Obviously, I'm excited. So that's great. 5 Super Bowls. Honestly, never thought that would happen. As a Patriots fan, since it all started as a young kid, looking up to the guys on the team, looking up to Tom Brady, I can't say enough. It actually means a lot to me to see them win again and to see them stand alone to be 5-time champions. Nobody else has done that. I'm so proud to live and not only cheer for the team, but to even live right now to witness this. I am proud to be alive to watch this because it's history. I've always heard about Montana and Bradshaw, the Steelers, the Celtics, the Lakers, all those teams, the Yankees. But to live during the Patriots, I know the history. I've watched the games in the past, but I wasn't there. But to watch this right now unfold, I'm happy to watch it. And I think I'm blessed to watch it. And I think that's how you guys should feel as well. You guys are the stupid Deflategate jokes. But anyways, like I said, I'm just excited. In terms of the best Super Bowl ever, I'm going to kind of overreact by saying it probably is the best Super Bowl of all time. I think it's at least top 2, but it's probably the best. And I think it will be one of the most memorable ones as well.
Where would you rank it to that Seahawks one? Because that's like
It's
I know
difficult. It's two
people are
different
saying-
games.
Yeah, and people are saying Pittsburgh, Arizona, which was a great, and any time.
That's definitely at least top 5. That's probably top 3.
Oh, for sure. It's just I look at it as this is the first overtime game, the comeback. But that's why I always kind of rank that Seahawks one ahead, because to have a game end from the 1 yard line, I'm always the probability guy, and like how much, like if you're doing,
that was probability guy. You're the probability guy.
That was a
the
crazy
probability.
moment, but
like how crazy
at the same time to see that comeback, to see Tom Brady's legacy as a Patriots fan, I think this is the best game. I don't know about not a Patriots fan, because to see everything that is Tom Brady in one game, that's basically what we saw tonight. And the Patriots dynasty in general. To the guy that said, I think it was Space Cowboy who said Patriots team of the 2010s. They're just team of the 2010s. They're team of the 2000s, and they're the team of the NFL.
They're just great.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Now my thoughts on the game. This was an absolutely weird but crazy, fantastic game to watch. 3 people in here are not Patriots fans, and they watched the football. And obviously Mitch watched the football, and he's not fucking blind. But we watched this from a non-biased perspective. And we watched this from not being fans. And I think we watched football as it's presented. We watched it in the form that we were supposed to see it for 65 minutes, where we were invested the whole time, and we thought it was an absolutely great game. There were so many great aspects of it. And I think as a fan, not having an emotional state on it, I think we were very fortunate to get such a great game and to just sit back and relax and watch it all happen, watch it all unfold. 28-3, the comeback, I said it on Twitter, it's the greatest comeback in sports history. And I'm trying not to be overrated, but it's the fucking Super Bowl. The biggest comeback before was 10 points, and they 2.5 times that in this one game. There's so many crazy things about it that you just can't underrate it. The fact that Tom Brady had the greatest performance in Super Bowl history, 62 passes, fam. The fourth quarter was absolutely amazing. James White had a spectacular performance. The defense showed up the critical moments. For Atlanta, I feel really, really bad for them. They had the 28-3 lead, about to get their first Super Bowl in franchise history, and I feel for them. It's really depressing. But at the same time, you got to keep your head up and just let this one wash through, come into their next season, maybe do some things better. But I still think they had a pretty good game up until the fourth quarter. I think the fourth quarter just kind of fell and collapsed on themselves. But overall, I'm going to rate this second or third best Super Bowl of all time. I still juggle with this one between this. I still think the Seattle Patriots game is number 1, and between this one and the Steelers-Arizona Cardinals game from 43. Those are the two that I kind of, right now, this one and that one are kind of toss up to me for 2 and 3. So that's just my top 3 overall. But I think it was a fantastic game. You saw the greatest performance in Super Bowl history. First Super Bowl overtime. It's an eventful night, and we witnessed history. So I think it's interesting. But 2018, don't you worry. Those boys will be there, and we'll have some competition.
Oh, come on. Don't end the video on that note.
And the Eagles.
The Eagles. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so we're gonna make some time for that. Don't you worry. 2018. Now, first year of college, they'll let it happen for that.
Okay.
So yeah. So I think that's about it. We love.
I do want to say one more thing, just quick.
Okay.
Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, Atlanta fans, respect you. Great game. If you watch this recap, even better on you, because it's tough to watch a recap after your team loses. You guys played a great game. You showed up. Your fans, awesome, sticking by your team, especially on this channel, appreciating them through the bad, the good times, their best season ever, best team that Atlanta's ever had. So that's something. I know they didn't come away with the prize, but future is looking bright. And to Patriots fans, enjoy this win. You never know when it's going to be your last win as a Patriots fan. So enjoy the win. And appreciate greatness for the rest of you NFL fans. That's all I got to say. Also, just, check out the channel through the offseason. We don't go away when it comes to the NFL. We stay here and we grind on the NFL content. We don't just do the regular season and playoffs. We do offseason as well. So check out the channel.
Yes, check out the channel for everything for your sports content. And so far, I'll plug our stuff at the end. Adam, where can people find you besides this?
Adam C11 on Twitter. Check me out. Just doing a couple stuff. Glad to be joining the Bottom Line View family. I know with Mitch and Dill and Kevil, we'll be doing some off season. Like now, as an Eagles fan,
Adam, I don't know, bro. You hating too much.
hating
I
too
don't know.
much. I'm just speaking for the people.
Maybe
for the people.
out of the New England and Atlanta stuff, but we'll let you do some other stuff.
I was close, man. That first half, I was like, I'll have to admit, that first half, I'm like, everything I said the week before was on point.
I knew. I was thinking like, Adam,
man.
I'm like, I really want the Patriots to win just so Adam's not telling me how right he was.
I was so right, though. You must have been thinking, like, after the first half, like, the Patriots better come back because I'd be wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was wild. But now I'm back to – now I don't have any money on the line, so I'm back to being a diehard Eagles. Super Bowl's over. It's all about the draft. It's all about 27.
And now me and you can have weekly discussions about how we those teams. So
exactly
for that.
Can't wait.
So I'm excited for that. Kevil, we know we've been on a couple podcasts with you, but where can we find you besides the bottom line?
Respect this man. Put respect on Kevil's name.
Put respect on his name.
Twitter GOAT. Okay.
Twitter legend. I don't know if he's here because he's on mute.
Kevil, you didn't even hear me just talk about you.
Kevil,
unmute yourself.
Unmute. Okay, if he's not here, I'll promote him myself. You can
Hello, there I am. I was I forgot I put myself on mute. I had such a
Okay, Kevil,
not hear me?
Find you.
Hello.
Yes.
There I am. Oh, there I am. Okay, follow me at KVOLE. Sorry, Yeah, this was a great season. Congratulations to the Patriots. Congratulations to the Falcons. Eagles and Cowboys, we're out to get you. No, just kidding. Lots of content coming up. Follow me, KVOLE. Friend me on Facebook if you want, Kevin Olenek. And subscribe to my podcast, Spreaker.com, Kevil.
All right. Mitch, obviously this is your channel, but where can we find you at?
The Bottom Line View. This channel you are watching. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Don't just like it, but Gronk spike it.
Spike it.
Also, Twitter, at Mitch Milani. I will tweet about, in the next couple of days, all the people that were doubting the Patriots, including Adam. They will be getting roasted. So follow me on Twitter.
All right, so of course you can find me at the Bottom Line View because that's where we're at right now. You can follow me at Twitter at WrestlingGod27. Thank you, JBL, for that. We appreciate the fans here. We love our fans, our supporters. Mitch doesn't like to call them fans for some reason. We love our community here. We promote a lot of great things here. We're always into football, but now that football's over, what's next for the Bottom Line View? We're obviously going to get into the off season. But we're going to talk a lot about NHL. We're going to get into a lot of the NBA stuff. I'll be more on the NBA stuff. All those three gentlemen will be on the NHL side because I'm sorry, I don't talk a lot of NHL. We'll always be on the wrestling side. Is Taker going to beat Roman Reigns, and will everybody shut the fuck up about Roman Reigns? We'll find out later on in the next few weeks. Adam's dabbing a lot, so I don't exactly know what his game is.
I'm trying to be cool with the kids. I'm older than all you guys, right? I'm trying to be cool, right? That's cool.
Trying to be like Cam.
I saw Cowboy in the comments not liking it. He's making him cringe, but that's what happens when a 20-year-old dude trying to stay hip. Is that cool?
I'm the youngest to this. I'm the youngest of this group, and that's not
No, that's not how you dab? Okay.
So
we literally just lost 6 viewers because of Adam's dabbing.
So if you guys
that's why I don't dab. Because you lose viewers.
Yeah.
That's why it's about respect, man.
Put some respect on the Bottom Line View's name. So the Bottom Line View, of course, we're going to get into a lot more wrestling now that football is off the table. We're going to get into off-season, of course, but wrestling is our main focus because WrestleMania is 2 months away. Kevil just left, so I guess he didn't care. But, a lot of good stuff with wrestling's coming up, NBA, NHL. Stay tuned for all that because you guys are the best. That's why we do these videos. It's for the fans, the supporters, the Bottom Line viewers. So stay tuned for all the great entertainment keyword there because we watch a wrestling company that's supposed to be on entertainment and they don't. So we give you a bunch of entertainment here, and we hope you guys enjoy this recap, this fucking 2.5 hour long recap, and all the other content.
Watch it all again, damn it.
Watch it all, Vince. By the way, we're not Vince. We're not telling you what you like, damn it. But we're also encouraging you to keep watching the Bottom Line View because we'll grow every single day. So for Adam, Mitch, Kevel, it's Dylan of the Bottom Line View. Thank you guys for watching. Gronk, spike the like button if you enjoyed the recap. Comment below. Is this the greatest Super Bowl? Whatever. Subscribe to the Bottom Line View for the best wrestling and sports content on the planet. See you guys.
Go Pats!
Jesus Christ.